Hello everyone, welcome to PW Only IS English channel. I'm Dimple Nankani, the Faculty for Geography and Environment. This is the video wherein we'll be covering the previous year questions related to the environment. We have covered a lot of previous year questions of varied subjects, geography, economics and history. I would like to cover the previous year question of the last 10 years. So let's get started. So this is about the first topic, that is your biodiversity topic, and this is the question. The question says that the organism, cicada, froghopper and pond skater are insects, birds, fishes, insects and reptiles. That is the question that is being asked. This is 2024. This is related to biodiversity and species. The answer is these are all insects. Okay, they belong to the class Insecta with the phylum Arthropoda. You should know that varied what is the phylum, what is the other thing. So what about cicada? Cicada belong to the order Hemiptera. They're also known for their loud and the distinctive calls, and they have long cycles. With some species, they also remain underground as till the time they emerge as the adults. Okay, then you have froghoppers. These are also insects. They have the jumping ability and they are foam like cuckoo spit that is produced by their nymphs. Then we have pond skaters. They're also insect. They're also called as the water striders, and they are known for the ability to walk on the water. Okay, so they can hop upon, right? So these all of them are insects. This is how UPSC keeps on asking questions on the basis of the species that have been there in news and varied other species. This is something related to species. That is in 2023 it was asked. Marsupials are not naturally found in India. Statement 1. Statement 2 is marsupials can thrive only in the montane grasslands with no predators. Which of the following statement is or above are correct? Statement 1 and statement 2 both are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Both are correct, but that does not explain statement 1. Statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. So these are the four statements. The answer here is C, that they 1 is correct, but this is not correct. Statement 2 is not correct. So what are marsupials? Basically marsupials is a category wherein your kangaroo with pouch like animals, the animals that have pouch, they are called as marsupials. So kangaroo is an example. They are not naturally found in India, and they can thrive only in the montane grasslands with no predators. No, it's not like that. They have had bigger mammals. They have been predators to the marsupials. Therefore you will see marsupials only in Australia, right? Because when it talks about when in the other continents there was competition between the marsupials and the other mammals, and the mammals were more fit, as the Darwin's theory says, that survival of the fittest. So marsupials also had predators, so they are referred to as pouched mammals. They are basically the underdeveloped younger types of mammal. They will remain in the mother's pouch. Mother's pouch is called as marsupium. They give birth, but they do not have long gestation time like placental mammals. There's long gestation time, and therefore they can survive without even being in the pocket. But in the marsupials, the gestation time is not as much. Okay, they are also called as pouched mammals. This is very important. The examples: kangaroos and wallabies. Okay, this pouch actually provide nourishment. So statement 1 is true, that kangaroos, wallabies, wombats, opossums, bandicoots, koalas, they are found in where? Australia, Papua New Guinea and some parts of South America also. But then where do they reside? They are inhabiting in the arid and the semi-arid areas. You can see that if they are in Australia, we know that much of the majority of Australia is what? Arid conditions. Okay, so they will not survive in the montane conditions. They were not restricted only to the montane grasslands. They will you can see them in forests, deserts, grasslands, and obviously they coexist. There are predators also. Foxes have also been their predators. So 1 is correct, the statement 2 is incorrect. The answer is C. Look at the next one. The next is about the fauna. The lion-tailed macaque, Malabar civet and the sambar deer, which among the following are nocturnal, or they are more active in the sunset? Only 1, only 2, all 3, and none. The answer is first, that if I talk about the first one, this is lion-tailed macaque. We know that lion-tailed macaque is not just nocturnal, it is basically also endemic to the Western Ghat. It is also active throughout the day, therefore it is not nocturnal. If I talk about Malabar civet, yes, it is seen in Malabar. It is critically endangered. Yes, this one is actually nocturnal in nature. And if I talk about the third one, that is sambar, sambar is definitely not nocturnal. We might have also seen when you go for forest visits, you would have seen some deer. They are active during twilight, they are active during evenings also. So the answer is what? The answer is one only. And which of them is that? The Malabar civet is nocturnal in noche. This is active during daytime. This is also active during the daytime. So this was about the related to biodiversity. Next one, which of the following organism perform waggle dance? Okay, you know the answer now. Waggle dance for the other kin to indicate their direction and distance to the source of their food. So waggle dance is done by what? They are done by honeybees. They will indicate the needs by move. So if they are moving towards north, they will have that signifies something. If they are moving towards the south, that signifies something. So they will indicate their needs. The waggle dance is uniquely performed by honeybees to convey the direction and the distance of the source to the other members. Okay, honeybees, they will observe the food and they will move in that direction to give a signal that where is the food availability. What about the other water sources also? The waggle dance has long been recognized as a behavior that communicates information about the resources, and therefore they are helping the other mates. So it's the waggle dance is done by honeybees. Then next one, consider the following statements. Some microorganism can grow in the environment with, so it is about the microorganism. So it says some microorganism can grow in the environment with temperature above the boiling point of water. The temperature is above the boiling point of water. Some microorganism can also grow in the temperature below the freezing point of water. Okay, some microorganism can grow only highly in acidic environment with a pH level below 3. So in acidic environment, in very cold environment, in very warm environment. Okay, which of the following above are true? All of them above are true. Yes, you will see some microorganisms. They are called as cold loving microbes. That is called as psychrophiles. There are also mesophiles. There are also thermophiles. So cold, psychrophiles. Mesophiles, moderate temperature. Warm, that is about it, thermophiles. So heat loving microorganisms. Statement 1 is correct. Okay, they will survive in the temperature exceeding 100 degrees Celsius. That is hyperthermophiles. You also have cryophiles, that is that will survive in less than 10 degrees Celsius, even somewhere as minus 20 degrees Celsius in glacial ice, in Arctic region, etc. They are also there. And the third one, that is acidophile. You also have acidophile. Phile means loving. So acidophile, thermophile. Okay, there are also some of the organisms that survive in the acidic hot springs, in geysers, in volcanic sulfur pools. So these are there. So statement, all of them are correct. Which of the following makes, the next question, which of the following makes a tool with a stick to scrape the insects from a hole in the tree or a log of wood? So if in case you want to take out the insects, you are using a stick, you are using a tool. So imagine the tools are not only made by humans but also animals. They are so intelligent that can do. So the answer is fishing cat, orangutan, sloth, bear and otter. So we know that the answer is what? The answer is orangutan. The answer is orangutan. Yes, they are highly intelligent. They are great apes. We've also been ape. 97%, 99% of our DNA is related to the apes. So orangutan has a very sharp intelligence there. They are intelligent, especially using tools. They can observe the small branches. They can take out the insects. They also have good cognitive skills. They have problem solving skills, and none of the other animals have that. Where do you have orangutan? You have different types of orangutan. You also have in Sumatra. You also have there in Borneo. So there are a lot of orangutan that are there. Okay. It's not just seen in India, but then you have orangutans. They have the similar capabilities, cognitive capabilities like gorilla and chimpanzees. The next one, consider the following statement about 2023. This is more about the biodiversity. So we've covered varied species, we've covered orangutan, there was question on honeybees, there were questions on insects. Okay, now moving on, consider the following statements. In India, the biodiversity management committees are key to realization of the objective of the Nagoya Protocol. Okay. The second, the biodiversity management committee have important function in determining the access and the benefit sharing, including the power to levy the collection fees on the access to the biological resources within its jurisdiction. So this is more about, we should know about an act, Biodiversity Act. You should know about what are the institutional bodies under the act. So right, you have National Biodiversity Authority, you have State Biodiversity Authority, you have biodiversity management committees. Are they key to the realization of the objective of Nagoya Protocol? Yes, they will help in realizing that. And also about statement 2. So the Biodiversity Management Committee, they actually help to so what is about Nagoya Protocol? Nagoya Protocol is about access to benefit sharing, that you will have access to benefit sharing. There will be collection of fees. There will be fees collection within its jurisdiction. So they can also collect the fees. That is what it is there. So both of them are correct. This have been created under Biodiversity Act. This is the local body. At the national level you have NBA. At the state level you have SBB, that is State Biodiversity Board. At the national level you have National Biodiversity Authority. They can regulate the access to the biodiversity resources and they help in Nagoya Protocol. If I talk about Biodiversity Management Committee, there's about access to benefit sharing for the biolife. This is about the Nagoya Protocol is about access and benefit sharing. There should not be any, they can collect the fee, they can talk about accessing the biological resources, etc. Okay, so this is about the Nagoya Protocol, that this is related to international body. In the international convention, that is Convention of Biodiversity, there is this Nagoya Protocol. They also help in creating the people's biodiversity registers. Okay, they help in creating this. Is also about access to benefit sharing. Okay, so this is about the Biodiversity Act and the authority. The BMC, that is the local body, they will create a register. What does the register do? That is People's Biodiversity Register. They help in sharing knowledge. They help in protecting the indigenous right. And about access to benefit sharing, it's about if the companies are utilizing a resources and they have access to it, they should share the benefits with the indigenous population. An example have been Arogya Pacha. So Arogya Pacha plants, they have seen that they boost the energy. This is an indigenous knowledge, okay, of the tribal. So if a company utilizes the property of the Arogya Pacha plant, they will have to provide some economic benefits, some other monetary and non-monetary benefits to the tribal population. So the answer is what? The answer is C. Both of them were correct. Moving on to the next topic, that is about your pollution. So pollution, the topic that was asked in 2024, the question is, with reference to perfluoroalkyl and perfluoroalkyl substances, perfluoroalkyl and the perfluoroalkyl substances that are used in making many consumer products. Okay, consider the following statement. The perfluoroalkyl substances, they are found to be widespread in drinking water, food and food packaging material. Okay, so where they are used in consumer products, where in packaging water, in packaging food, in the food industries, they are not, second, they are not easily degraded in the environment. Okay, therefore it is given in the pollution topic. The persistent exposure to PFA can lead to bioaccumulation in the animal bodies. See, if something that is not easily degradable, okay, and it is used in packaging industries and it is used in food industries and it cannot be degraded easily, so it would be consumed by some animal or someone. If it is consumed by some animal and it is not easily degradable, it will accumulate in the body, and from the body it will keep on accumulating in the other species. So this is called as bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So if statement 2 is correct, the statement 3 is also correct. Now look at the answer. The answer that we have is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, they are basically large synthetic chemicals. They are synthetic chemicals that have been used in the consumer products. They have been used in the consumer products since 1950s. They have been used since quite a long time, and they have been used for as in water. They have been used in food industries. Okay, so people, who are the people that are most likely to be affected by this, by consuming, is PFA is contaminated water and the food. Even in the breathing air you will have some PFAs. Okay, so what we are trying to phase it out, we are trying to reduce it out in the drinking water and the groundwater. If I talk about statement 2, the statement 2, PFA molecules are linked to carbon and fluorine atoms, and this is one of the reasons that they are very strong and they are not easily degradable. If I talk about the next one, that is, they can accumulate in the bodies. Yes, they can accumulate in the bodies, they can accumulate in the liver, kidney, etc. Okay, so what is bioaccumulation and biomagnification? That is something that you should know. See, if this is a pollutant, right? If this is a pollutant is there in the environment. When it is consumed by the first species If it is consumed by the first species, it is called as, it starts accumulating in the body of the first species because it is not easily degradable. So that is called as what? That is called as bioaccumulation. It is accumulating in the body. But then this is, let's say, one small fish. This small fish is eaten by a big fish. Now this big fish will not eat one small fish. This big fish will eat many small fishes. Okay, so if one small fish has, let's say, 1 gram of pollutant, if one small fish has, let's say, 1 gram of pollutant, the big fish is consuming 10 small fishes, so it will have 10 gram of pollutant. Okay, the shark consumes hundreds of big fishes, so it will have 10 into 100 of grams of pollution. So that is how, can you see that the pollutant is magnifying as from a smaller species, from a herbivore to a carnivore to a omnivore. As the pollutant is magnifying, this process is called as biomagnification. So let us understand the difference between biomagnification and bioaccumulation. What is it? Basically, the building up of toxin in an organism over a time, that is called as bioaccumulating. What is biomagnification? The increase in the concentration of the toxin as one goes up in the food chain. So as there is increase, as one increases in the food chain, as the hierarchy increases in the food chain, the pollutant is getting magnified. Okay, this occurs in the single organism. This occur through multiple trophic level. How is it prepared? The organism absorbs more toxins than it excretes. How is it happening? That the producers consume prey with the toxins. Okay, so this is about accumulation. This example can be the mercury accumulating in a single fish. Mercury accumulating in a single fish is bioaccumulation. The mercury level increasing from small fish to larger fish is an example of biomagnification to even humans. Okay, so this was the topic. Moving on to the next topic. Many chewing gums are found in markets and a source of environment pollution. Question number 20, question number 2024, question number 9. Many chewing gums are found in the market are source of environmental pollution. Statement 1. Many chewing gums contain plastic as gum base. Which of the following statement is or above are correct? You know the formats, both the statements are correct. The first one, both the statements are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. The statement 1 and 2 are correct, but statement 2 is not explaining statement 1. The statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. D, the statement 1 is incorrect, but the statement 2 is correct. So the answer is what? The answer is A. Yes, the chewing gums are a source of pollution. They are non-biodegradable in nature. They are non-biodegradable in nature. They are if they are improperly disposed of, they will lead to litter on streets, microplastic in water bodies, and then they are basically using what? They are using synthetic polymers. They are using these as the base, that is polyethylene, polyvinyl acetate. They are used, and they are essential plastics. They are low, and therefore they long last in environment, and they are not easily biodegradable. So both are correct, and the statement 2 also explains statement 1. It makes it non-biodegradable. Okay, so both of them are correct. Moving on to the next one. Consider the following statements. We are using some I'm moving on to the pollution topic. So this is more about pollution. Bioaccumulation, biomagnification, chewing gums, PFAS. These are more about pollutants. So you would have seen that there are questions related to species. There are also questions related to pollution. These are the two important topics that we have for UPSC examination. Which of the following? Consider the following: aerosols, foam agents, fire retardants, and lubricants. In the making of how many of the above are hydrofluorocarbon used? Hydrofluorocarbon are used in how many of them? HFC. Okay. Aerosols, foaming agents, fire retardants, and lubricant. The answer is what? The answer is only in 3 of them they are used. So if I talk about the foam agents, aerosols, and the fire retardants, they are used there, but it is not generally used in the lubricants. Lubricants are basically oil based. They are synthetic esters and not HFC. HFC, you would have seen the HFC is there in news, CFC is there in news, because they pollute. They are a pollutant, and they lead to ozone depletion. They create ozone whole. And if you see in any of the cooling agents, you will have these HFCs. Whether you talk about the fire retardants, whether you talk about the air conditions, you talk about the aerosols, foaming agents, they are actually used even in the solvents. So they are basically, they are greenhouse gases. They are also, they also cause ozone depletion. So they are used in these and not the lubricants. Lubricants are oil based. So answer is what? The answer is only 3. Moving on to the next one. Consider the following statement regarding the mercury pollution. Coal mining is a source of mercury pollution in the world. 1. Coal-based thermal. Second, the coal-based thermal power plant can cause mercury pollution. Third, there is no known safe level of exposure to the mercury. That means if you consume even in the minute time, there can be some problem. So there is no known safe level of the exposure to the mercury. Which of the following statement is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3 and none. The answer is only 2 are correct. The statement 3 is not correct. Okay? So we know that if you consume mercury beyond 0.01 mg milligrams per meter cube, and for hazardous, it can be hazardous for especially the prolonged exposure. So is the statement 1 correct? Yes. Can gold mining contributes to the mercury? Yes, that can happen. It is used in the small scale gold mining, so there are mercury emission associated with this, the gold sector mining, and especially from the burning of the mercury gold. If you burn the mercury gold, okay, then the statement 2 is also, so statement 1 is correct. If I talk about the statement 2 is also correct. Mercury is released from the coal and the fossil fuels. They are far higher mercury content than the other fossil fuels. If I talk about statement 3, you have Occupational Safety and Health Administration that have provided the mercury vapor concentration above 0.0 mg per meter cube hazardous for the prolonged exposure. Okay, so this answer, the statement 3 is not correct. Statement 1 and statement 2 is correct. Okay, then moving on to the next one, 2023. So according to United Nations World Water Development Report 2022, there was a report that was given. So this is basically more about 2022. This is more about 2022 current affairs, but still let's see India. What does the statement says? That there is UN World Water Development Report which says that India extracts more than a quarter of world's underground withdrawal each year. Okay, world, that means nearly 25% of the world's ground withdrawal occur in India. That's what the statement says. India needs to extract more than a groundwater of the world's groundwater to satisfy drinking water sanitation needs of almost 18% of the world population living in its territory. Which of the following above statement is or are correct? So the first one is definitely correct, that India does that. India extracts more than the world's water ground, 25% of the world water, because there's a lot of dependence on the groundwater. Then if I talk about what does it say, it is doing majorly for what? It is doing majorly for drinking water and sanitation. No, so this is, see, they've given a bigger statement to see that yes, we have 18% of world population. Yes, we have, but you should know that we don't use groundwater majorly for drinking water and sanitation purpose. We majorly use groundwater for the agriculture purpose and irrigation purpose. So it's a very they are actually trying to test your concentration also. That are you really, we all know that groundwater is majorly used for what? Agriculture. But then they've given such a big statement to actually see that whether you are able to identify. So this is also 18%, and that also is a new. So answer is what? The statement 2 is not correct. 89% of the water is majorly used for irrigation. Okay, so it is irrigation needs rather than drinking water and the sanitation purpose. It is not this, it is actually this. Okay, it is actually this one. So now moving on to the new topic, that is about the climate change. So carbon market, right? Carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases, methane, this is what we have. So carbon markets are likely to be one of the most widespread tools in fighting the climate change. Carbon markets transfer resources from the private sector to the state. Okay, so they are likely to be the most widespread one. Can we fight the climate change using carbon markets? That is the statement. The carbon market transfer resources from private sector to the state. That is another statement. So what is, and that is, the answer is what? The first one is also correct and the second one is also correct. But but this is not explaining. But this is not explaining. Statement 2 is not explaining the statement number 1. Now, if we know that this is all about this carbon market is more about, utilizing the economic power. It is also about capitalism. It is also about carbon being used as a commodity. It is also respecting the principle of polluter pay. So this all is there. Now what happens is, sometimes in such type of questions students get confused. That is statement 1 actually correct? Can we actually fight climate change? So here what happens, you'll apply not and see whether the statement is correct or not. You can say carbon markets are not likely to be one of the most widespread tools in fighting against climate change. That is definitely a wrong statement. You cannot say it cannot be the most widespread tool. It is a widespread tool. So 1 is correct. Carbon market transfer the resources from private sector to the state. Yes, that also is there. So the answer is both 1 and 2. So let's understand this. Carbon markets are what? They are basically trading system in which the carbon credit are sold and bought. You will purchase and you will sell. Individual companies and the companies and individuals, they can use the carbon market to compensate for the greenhouse gas emission by purchasing the carbon credit from the entities. So it's basically two bodies, A and B. A was allowed to emit 100 units. B was also allowed to emit 100 units. B emitted 150 units. And A just emitted 25 units. So A has a capacity of 75 more to emit. If the target was 100, it has only emitted 25. So A has a gap that it can sell 75 or it can sell 50 units to someone. So it is selling 50 units. So B is completing its target by purchasing the carbon. So it says that it is a market that helps to compensate for the greenhouse gassing emission by purchasing carbon credit from the entities that reduce the greenhouse gases emissions. One tradable carbon credit equals to 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So one carbon credit is equal to 1 ton of CO2 or any other different gas of equivalent amount. Okay, so this will talk about what will it do. It will help in compliances, it will help in marketing, it will help to reduce the greenhouse gases in the longer run, and therefore it is a good mechanism to help climate change action. If I talk about statement 2, carbon market can help reduce the greenhouse gases. Yes, from the market, and they can purchase it. So it is basically allowance. It is facilitating the exchange between the public and the private entities. So statement 2 is also definitely correct. Okay? So it is basically generating the revenue for the government through emission allowances, through this one. Okay, so it is trading between the private entities efficiently. Next one, the environmental laws and other one. So 2024, the question was, the flying fox is placed under the vermin category. Okay, in the Wildlife Protection Act. The Indian flying fox feeds on the blood of the other animals. So what is vermin? Vermin is an animal that is considered as dangerous to the ecosystem. Vermin is considered as not safe. Okay, so that is, can Indian flying fox be placed under vermin category in the Wildlife Protection Act? Okay, this is one that was there in news and you should have known. And can it feed? So the answer is what? The answer is the first statement. Okay, the first statement is correct, but this one is not correct. The answer is C. So the vermin category was listed in schedule 5 of the wildlife protection and which has been now removed, and there were only 4 schedule. I said this has been therefore in news, therefore it has been placed under vermin category due to its destructive tendencies to affect the fruit farms. It is not sucking the blood. It is the only flying mammal in the world, and it is one of the largest one. This is also known as the great Indian fruit bat. Okay, because it eats fruits, it's feed on the fruits. So it is actually, it has been considered as vermin, but it is not affecting the other animals. It is actually affecting the fruit, right? It is actually affecting the fruit birds. Okay, so this is about something that you should have known because it is what's actually there in the news then. The next one, according to the Environment Protection Agency, which one of the following is the largest source of the sulfur dioxide emission? Locomotive using fossil fuels, ships using fossil fuel, okay, extraction of metals from the ores, and power plants using the power plants using the fossil fuels? The answer is definitely C. If it is fossil fuels, locomotives, ships, power plants. Obviously, what will emit more of sulfur dioxide? What is more emitting the pollutants? It is the power plant. So what is the answer? The answer is D. C is a very minute source, not much source. Okay, so emissions are a larger concentration of SO2 generally from the what? From the power plants and the other industrial facilities. Okay, there are other gases also that are emitted, but then the answer was, it was easy, it was not a difficult question. Moving on to the next one, that is 2024. India does not import apples from the USA. Statement 1. In India, the law prohibits the imports of the genetically modified food without the approval of the competent authority. Okay. Which of the following statement is or are correct? It is a very easy one. Obviously, the statement 1 is incorrect, and we know that the statement 2 is correct. Statement 1 is India imports apples from USA. Actually, the apples are one of the most major imports from USA. They have now, India was trying to, they were then removed the retaliatory import duty on the US apples in then September. So, but we know that India imports a lot of apples. Yes, in India we have FSSAI, that is Food Standard Safety Authority of India. It was formed under Food Standard Safety Act of 2006 that prohibits imports of the GM good without FSSAI approval. So, a statutory body is definitely there. Moving on to the next one, that is about your species. We have some questions related to species, and we also have some questions related to the biodiversity. We have already covered questions related to biodiversity. Then we also have some questions related to the miscellaneous things. Okay, so moving on to the question number to this biodiversity. I am moving on to the new topic, that is about your biodiversity and protected areas for the biodiversity. Looking at this question on 2023, once the central government notifies an area as community reserve, then what happens? The chief wildlife warden of the state becomes the governing authority of such forest. Okay. The hunting is not allowed in such species. Okay. The people of such areas are allowed to collect non-timber forest produce. Okay. The people of such areas are allowed traditional agricultural practices. See, if I talk about community reserve, if I talk about the areas for biodiversity commission, for the biodiversity conservation, if I want to conserve biodiversity, I can have some areas. I can have national parks, I can have wildlife sanctuaries, I can have biosphere reserve, I can declare an area as community reserve, I can declare an area as the other reserves. Okay, so we can use that. So now the question is about what? Now the question is about community reserve. So community reserve, as the name suggests, it belongs to who? It belongs to the community. Who is the governing body in such forest? The governing body in such forest is the Community Reserve Management Committee. It is the local body that will protect. So statement 1 is not correct. If I talk about the next one, statement 2. Statement 2 is that the hunting is not allowed in such area. Yes, you are protecting it. You are making it as a reserve. The community is reserve. So you will not allow hunting. The people of, and it is for whom? It is for the community. So can people collect the non-timber forest produce? Yes. But can be people allowed to do traditional agricultural practices? No. What is the answer then? The answer is therefore only 2. So it is community reserves. It belongs to the community. The state government establishes a committee, that is Community Reserve Management Committee, which conserves the community reserve under the Wildlife Protection Act. The committee which chooses a chairman. Okay, the committee chooses a chairman who actually is the who's actually the wildlife warden. Statement 2, yes, the hunting is not allowed. The hunting is prohibited. Can they collect non-timber fiber produce? Yes, they can collect non-timber forest produce. That can be collected. Can they do agriculture after the forest has been done? They cannot do agriculture. They cannot do any agricultural practices. Okay, so they are falling under protected areas under 1972 and also in 2002. Moving on to the next one about the species. Again, look at the question. Consider the following species: the carabid beetles, the centipedes, flies, termites, and wasps. Species are found in parasitoid species. Parasitoid species are found in how many of the above kind of organism? Okay. Okay. What is the answer? Only 2, only 3, all 4, all 5. The answer is only 3. Now, many animals are predators, parasites. That means they use other animals as their foods. What is a parasitoid? It's an insect whose larvae feed and develop within or the bodies of the other arthropods. So they will live on the body or within the body of the other species. Okay? They have an ability that they can kill the host. Okay, so this is about a way of nourishment. Where all do you have? So this is one of the way of nourishment that they can have. The answer is what? Only 3. Which of the following shows a unique relation with an insect that has been co-evolved with it, and that is only insects that can pollinate this tree? So it's a co-evolution. That which of the following shows a unique relationship with an insect? So there's a species of a tree: fig, mahua, sandalwood, silk, cotton. So which of them they will have a unique relationship with an insect and it can be pollinated with that only? The answer is what? The answer is the banyan fig tree. Okay, that is famous for its aerial roots and its branches. That's basically roots that sprout from the branches, they reach the soil. Okay, there are other also, they have a correlation with the wasp that is co-evolved with it. So figs is the answer. Okay, the fig tree is one that is using this one. So what is the answer? The answer is A. Moving on to the next one. Consider the following: butterflies, fishes and frogs. How many of among them have the poisonous species among them? So can we have some butterflies as poisonous? Can we have some fishes as poisonous? Can we have some frogs as poisonous? The answer is all of the 3. You can have some of them as poisonous. For example, hybrid heliconus butterflies are poisonous in nature. Okay, these are but rare butterflies. You also have some venomous fish that can use toxin venomins. You also have frogs. Some frogs are also poisonous. Okay, for example, poison dart frogs, they are living in the tropical areas and they are quite poisonous. Okay, so this answer is what? All of them. Okay, all of them, they have this. The next one, consider the following pairs: Brazil, Indri, Indonesia, elk, Madagascar, bamboo. So in Brazil, do you have Indri? Indonesia, do you have elk? It's not bamboo, it's bonobo. In Madagascar, do you have bonobo? Which of the following pairs above is or are correctly matched? So it is about the animals. The answer is what? The answer is none of them are correctly actually matched. If you see, pair 1 is not correctly matched. Indri is endemic to Madagascar and it is not endemic to the Brazil one, Indri. Okay, they are seen along the Madagascar one and not anywhere else. Okay, the next one, elk is the most advantageous red deer. It is seen where? It is seen in the northern America, European. You have the other genetic studies also that suggest reindeer may have 3 species, but this one, the elk one, is seen in the northern America. And bonobo and chimpanzees, they basically look quite similar with the humans. Bonobos are little darker than chimpanzees. They are found in what? They are found in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So DRC. So which of the following have been correctly matched? None of them have been correctly matched. This is not seen in Madagascar. Okay, this is not seen. It is seen along. So it was basically Indri that was seen along the Madagascar. So they've not correctly matched that. The next one that we have about the species, that is 2024, that lions do not have a particular breeding season. Okay, unlike most of the big cats, cheetahs do not roar. The third one, unlike the male lions, male leopards do not proclaim their territory by scent marking. Which of the following is or are correct? Okay, so the first one is correct, second one is also correct, but the third one, this is definitely not correct. So answer is what? The answer is they do not have a definite breeding season and the cheetahs do not actually roar. Both male and female, they can breed, they can come together, they can breathe throughout the year. Okay, if I talk about the second statement, there are 4 big cats that roar: lion, tiger, leopard and jaguar. Okay, so they all belong to the species of genus Panthera. So cheetah does not actually roar. Okay, the third one, that is the leopards, also are known for their solitary nature. Leopards also have their hunting skill, they can catch their prey. They also mark the territory by scent and the claw marks on the trees. So they also use the same method. So answer is what? 1 is correct, 2 is correct, but the statement 3 is not correct. Moving on to the next one. The next one is invasive species specialist group that develops the global invasive species database belongs to which one of the following organization? Okay, so there is a group, invasive species specialist group. Okay, they are developing that, and they develop a database also, global invasive species database. So which of the following organization has that group, has that database? The answer is IUCN. The answer is IUCN. Okay, the answer is A, that there is invasive species specialist group under the IUCN network. Okay, they also have a database, they also have a group there. And what do? They actually they are trying to know the information about the invasive species. The next one that we have is some mushrooms have medicinal properties, some mushrooms have psychoactive properties, some mushrooms have insecticidal properties, and some mushrooms have bioluminescent properties. Which of the following statement above is or are correct? The answer is the statement 1, 2 and 3 and even the 4. All of them are actually correct. So some mushrooms, they have antibacterial properties. Yes, they also help in lowering the cholesterol levels. They also help in making it, better immunity is developed. Psychoactive properties. Yes, they can influence brain function, they can alter the mood, they can change the emotion. Okay, the magic mushroom, hallucination properties also. This was there, and many of them were trying to see the mushrooms. Where are these mushrooms? Okay, then you also have insecticidal mushrooms. Then you also have some mushrooms that have bioluminescence properties, that they can glow in the light. Okay, they can glow in the light. So all of them are correct. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statement regarding the Indian squirrel. They can build their nest by burrows in the ground. They can store their food material like nuts and seeds in the ground. The squirrels are omnivorous. Which of the following statement is or are correct? The statement 1 is not correct. Okay, otherwise, so you have answer what? You have answer only 2. They are Indian squirrels. They do not bury in the ground. They will use the trees, they will use the holes in the trees, they will nest in the trees, they will use crevices, they will not burrow. Okay, statement 1 is therefore incorrect. Statement 2 is correct, statement 3 is correct. They will use nuts, as they will store the nuts in the ground. Okay, statement 3, they are omnivores. Yes, they will consume fruits, nuts, they also consume seeds, insects, even sometimes the bird chicks. Okay, then moving on to the last one, that is consider the following statement. Agriculture residues, corn grain, wastewater treatment sludge, wood mill waste. Okay, which of the following above can be used as feedstock for producing sustainable aviation fuel? I want to produce aviation fuel. What can we do? This is about more about the biofuels topic. So agriculture residues, corn grain, wastewater treatment sludge, and the wood mill waste. The answer is what? The answer is all of them above can be used. So there is sustainable aviation fuels that have been there in use. They will help in reducing the carbon from the atmosphere. This is called as decarbonization of the fossil. Okay, they will, what can you produce? You can use agriculture residues, corn grain, oil seeds, algae, forest residue, wood mill residues, wet waste, etc. Question number 28 about 2024. Consider the following, that is battery storage, biomass generator, fuel cells, rooftop solar photovoltaic units. Which of the following above are considered as distributed energy resources? So energy production is no more longer centralized. You can use solar voltaic units, you can talk about the production using fuel cells. So which of the following is there? The answer is what? The answer is all 4. Battery storage, decentralization of energy, biomass generators, the fossil, the fuel cells. Okay, so distributed energy resources basically are small scale energy systems that can be that power a nearby location. You can have a solar panel at the top of your house, and that can also generate some amount of electricity. They can be connected to electric grids, or they can also be connected to some specific sites. Okay, when every energy is generated, this will help in distribution of energy in a better manner. So you can have photovoltaic units, wind generating units, battery storage, the biomass generator that is fueled with the waste gas, etc. Okay. The next one, in India, despite having a lot of uranium deposits, depends on the coal for most of its energy production. That is so true. We depend on the energy production. We used coal. The uranium enriched to the extent of at least 60% is required for the production of electricity. No, though it can lead to atomic bombs. So not that. Only up to 5 to 10%. So statement 1 is correct. We have a lot of uranium resources, but we majorly use coal for our energy needs. You have some amount of coal in Kolkata, in Singhbhum, in Aravali region. You also have along Tumala-Palle mines in Andhra Pradesh. So the answer is what? The answer is only 1 is correct. The statement is not correct. Only up to 5 to 10, 3 to 5% is needed. Okay, not, we don't want to create a weapon grade uranium. So above 20, it is weapon grade uranium. Next one, that is about consider the following infrastructure sectors: the affordable housing, mass rapid transport, healthcare and renewable energy. Which of the following above does UNOPS Sustainable Investment in Infrastructure and Innovation Initiative focuses upon? This was there in news. This was there that UN talks about sustainable investment in infrastructure and innovation. So it also focuses upon what? It focuses upon these one. It focuses only on 3. That is about 1, 3 and 4. It does not focus upon the mass rapid transport. This was there in news, so it was more related to the news then. After completing the 2 years previous year question, that is 2024 and 2023, we will now cover the rest of the previous year questions. So let us get started. The first theme that we have is ecology, ecosystem and the functions of the ecosystem. This is the first chapter in your environment books, as well as in the classes that we teach. The basics of environment are these. Okay, so let us look at the questions. Which of the following are nitrogen fixing plants? Alfalfa, amaranth, chickpea, clover, kulfa, that is porcelain, spinach. So there are many plants that fix nitrogen, especially the pulses that we know of. We look at this then, that which of them following are the one that fixes. So here the answer is A, that is your alfalfa. You have chickpea. Yes, chickpea has to be there. So because pulses are there, right? Chickpea is a type of pulse, so it has to be there. 3 has to be there, so you can eliminate C there. You can also eliminate D here. Agar 3, if there is no 3, you can eliminate. The answer will be either A or this. So it is basically clover and not your spinach and kulfa, right? See, it's like you could have applied a logic by saying that pulses is there, and that helps in fixing of the nitrogen for the plants, as well as that increases the nourishment of the soil. So answer is what? 1, 3 and 4. Nitrogen fixation is what? That converts the atmospheric nitrogen for the plants that cannot utilize it directly into the nitrogenous compound like ammonia, so that the plants can utilize them. There are various bacteria involved. We study this in the nitrogen cycle while we study the environment. The bacteria involved are Rhizobium, Acidobacter and Frankia. So answer is what? Chickpea, clover and alpha. All of them, they belong to the leguminous family, that is pulses family, and they help in fixing of the nitrogen. Kulfa and spinach and amaranth, they do not belong to the leguminous family. They are non-leguminous in nature, and therefore they do not have the symbiotic relation with the nitrogen fixing bacteria. As we move on, in nature, the next question, in nature, which of the following are most likely to be found on surviving on a surface without soil? This is one of very, very easy question. You should know that. It's about succession. It's about succession, and especially this is about primary succession. So we understand primary succession. There are bare rocks, newly rocks have been formed that will undergo weathering, and that will have then soil formation, that will have then shrubs, then trees, and finally the well developed forest according to the ecosystem. That's what the primary succession is about. So it says that which of the following are most likely to be surviving on a surface without soil. So soil is not yet formed. This is rocks. This will be over the time converted to soil. So what are the organisms that are surviving on the rocks? So you will have lichen, definitely you will have lichen, and you will also have mosses. So these are one of the pioneer species that invade the rocks and convert them into they weather them, they convert them into the soil. So lichen and mosses are pioneer species. So answer would be what? 2 and 3. Hence the answer, they do not need soil to grow and survive. They can grow on the rock, they can grow on tree bark, they can be found without the soil. We know that mosses are non-vascular plants. What are lichen? Lichen are basically algal and fungus. Lichen is algus plus fungus. Okay. So the answer was C there. Ferns, mushroom, they would need soil to grow. Okay. So answer was this. Which of the following, consider the following kinds of organism: copepod, cyanobacteria, diatoms, and foraminifera. So there are organisms, different type of organism given. Which of the above are primary producers in the food chain of an ocean? Okay. So the food chain of the ocean, you should know that. The answer is what? The answer is either B or C, because C, diatoms is definitely the primary producer. So 3 has to be there. 3 has to be there. So answer can be either B or the answer can be C. Now you should know about cyanobacteria, copepods, and foraminifera. The answer is what? B, because yes, we know that cyanobacteria is also a primary producer. It produces its own food. So the answer is what? 2 and 3. Right. So this is the answer, not this one. Okay. Now let us understand about these. Cyanobacteria and diatoms are primary producers. We call cyanobacteria as group blue-green algae. This is a single-celled organism. They can survive in brackish water, fresh water. Okay. They can make their own food. They'll utilize sunlight. Even diatoms are also algae. They are photosynthetic algae. They will be seen in the aquatic ecosystem. Okay, they are found in the photic zone. If I talk about copepod is basically the role of primary consumer. It is like a herbivore. Okay, herbivore, the first one. So you have diatoms, then you have crustaceans, and then you have the herrings. Crustaceans are like prawns, fishes. So even copepod is also primary consumers. If I talk about foraminifera, they are basically, they are also consumer. They are also consumer. They'll but feed on bacteria. They'll feed on diatoms. So they are also consumers. They are not the primary producers. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is diatom, and the other answer was cyanobacteria there. Moving on, consider which of the following are detritivores: earthworm, jellyfish, millipedes, seahorses, and woodlices. So which of the following are detritivores? So they are converting. Detritivores are what? That will survive on the dead organism, that will survive on the dirts. The name detritivore is coming from the dirt. So earthworm, jellyfish, millipedes, seahorses, woodlice. You should understand one thing from these questions, that UPSC keeps on asking questions on the hierarchy of the food chain. Okay, so when you study food chains, studying of food chain is very easy. Even a 9th class student can understand that. But they keep on asking questions to various type of species, which is primary consumer, which is primary producer, which is the secondary consumer. So you should be aware of the examples, especially from the ocean chain, the ocean food chain. Okay, so this is what the analysis is: the earthworm, jellyfish, millipedes, seahorses, and woodlices. Which of the following are detritivores? Earthworm is a detritivore, millipedes is a detritivore, and woodlice is obviously a detritivore. Woodlice, lice, you know what are lice? These they suck the blood. Woodlice, they would utilize the wood dust. So detritivore is utilizing the dust of what? Dust of wood. So 5 has to be there in answer. At least you can eliminate this one. Okay, then you would be aware of earthworm. Earthworms are known as the friend of the farmer. They turn the soil, they utilize the soil, they feed on the other organisms also. So 1 has to be there and 5 has to be there. 1 has to be there and 5 has to be there. So I can eliminate this also. Now 3 becomes inconsequential. Is jellyfish and seahorses detritivores? No, they consume. They are the consumers. So they are not the detritivores. The answer is C. Detritivores are basically detritus feeders. They'll feed on consuming detritus, decomposing plants and animals. So they will contribute to nutrient cycles. Answer is earthworms, millipedes, and the woodlices. Okay. The typical detritivores include the earthworm, millipede, springtail, woodlices, dung flies. You should know these examples: sea star, sea cucumber, fiddler crabs. Okay, these are these babe, and also some of the worms that are there. Okay, the next one: in which of the following biogeochemical cycle the weathering of the rock is the main source for the nutrient of the to enter the cycle? So basically there are 2 types of cycle. One is the gaseous cycle, the other is the terrestrial cycle. Terrestrial cycle basically depends on the rocks. They have the main components of rocks, soil, and various solid surfaces. We know that the answer should be here what? If I talk about this cycle, carbon cycle, it has a gaseous component. Nitrogen cycle has a gaseous component. NO2, NOx's, carbon cycle CO2. O2 is there, oxygen is there. It is basically a part of gases. So this is not there. The answer can be phosphorus or sulfur. Even for that matter, sulfur also has SOx and other things. So the answer is what? The answer is this phosphorus cycle. Phosphates, they are basically leaked out of the rock as a result of weathering. Unlike carbon dioxide, they lack an atmospheric component. So basically, if you look at this point, you have the rock phosphates. The rock phosphates from the rocks, they will go into the soil, they will go into the water. That will again become a part of the marine organisms. Here also from the soil, they'll go to the plant. From the plant, they'll go to the animal. From the animal, they will again go back to the soil. So there is no gaseous, major gaseous component that is involved. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is phosphorus. Okay, moving on. Which of the following species can establish a symbiotic relation with the other species? Cnidarians, fungi and protozoa. Consider the answer, select the answer from the following, that you want to have a symbiotic relation. The symbiotic relation is present for all of them. The symbiotic relation is present for all of them, 1, 2 and 3. If I talk about all of them can establish, what is, first understand what is a symbiotic relation. Symbiotic relation simple, एक के साथ एक दूसरे के साथ पूरे हैं, बिना एक दूसरे के अधूरे हैं, ठीक है. So if they are together they are fulfilling the needs, both of them, and they are incomplete without the relation. So basically two species may be referred to as symbiotic if the interaction are basically involved the cooperation. So there is cooperation. Example, coral has a symbiotic relationship with the zooxanthellae and algae. So coral polyp is an algae. Coral polyp has a symbiotic relation with the zooxanthellae algae. So coral polyp is an animal and algae coming together performing a symbiotic relationship. Okay, cooperative relationship. If I talk about cnidarians and dinoflagellate, they have a symbiotic relation. Okay, dinoflagellate is an algae. Both of them have symbiotic because the cnidarian, which is an animal, hosts the algae, and in turn it gets benefited from it. If I talk about fungi and mycorrhiza, and that is fungi that is mycorrhiza, and plant roots have relation. Even lichen and algae, they have a good relation. So here, what was it? Can fungi have a yes? What do we say? Lichen is nothing but fungi plus algae. So they can have a symbiotic relation, right? Even for that matter, mycorrhiza, that is fungi plus the roots of the plants. So definitely 2 has to be there. If I talk about protozoa basically have a symbiotic relationship with bacteria, cyanobacteria, algae. So they also have, and they can also have symbiotic relationship with termites and wood eating lice, cockroaches. So that is also there. Cyanobacteria, even for that matter fungus, even for that matter algae, even for that matter cnidarians. Okay, the next one, this is a very simple one. This type of question UPSC has asked before also. Look at the statement. With reference to the water on the planet Earth, consider the following statement. The amount of the water in rivers and lakes is more than the amount of water in the ground. The second, the amount of water in the polar ice caps and glacier is more than that amount of the groundwater. So if I talk about the amount of water in the planet Earth, the fresh water, if I talk about the fresh water resource distribution, if we talk about the freshwater resource distribution, the most amount of fresh water is in the ice caps, the top. The first one is in the ice caps. The second that we have is in the ice caps, then we have in the groundwater. The second one that we have is the groundwater. The third one you have in the lakes. The fourth one you have in the atmosphere, and the last amount of resource of the fresh water is in the rivers. So the first one ice cap, the second one glaciers, the third is lake, then atmosphere, then rivers. So first one that we have is the rivers and lakes. The amount of water in rivers and lakes is more than the amount of water than the groundwater. This is the wrong statement. The amount of water in the polar ice cap and glaciers is more than that of the ice cap and glacier is more than that of the groundwater. This is the right statement. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is 2 only. So the amount of water in the polar ice caps and glacier is more than the amount of water on the groundwater. So this is the answer. The answer is 2 only. Right? We know this. You have the first largest amount of fresh water in the oceans, and less and rest of them, this is the NCRT, this is given in the NCRT, geography NCRT. Oceans has about 97.25% of the water. Then you have the ice cap, then you have the glaciers and the glaciers, then you have the groundwater. So first one was what? Ice caps and the glaciers. The second one is the groundwater. The third one is the lake. The fourth one is the soil moisture. Then you have the atmosphere. Then you have the streams and the river. And last, you have some amount of water in the biosphere also. So this is the question that have been picked up from the NCRT, and they have picked up from where? They've picked up from the tables. So they keep on asking from the tables. So this is what you have. Ice caps. This is what you have. Ice caps, glaciers, ice caps, glaciers, 1, second, groundwater, third, lake, fourth, soil moisture, fifth, atmosphere, sixth, rivers, and then the biosphere. Then the biosphere. Here also you will see this. Answer is what? The first is incorrect, second one is correct. The next one, very easy question. Which of the following leaf modification occurs in the desert to inhibit the water loss? That means in the desert there is less soil moisture availability, there is less water availability. As there is less water availability, as there is less soil moisture availability, the plants they need to adapt to the less water availability. How do they adapt? The leaves they become short, the leaves they'll turn into thorns, the plant would start storing the water, the roots they go deep in the search of water. So these are the modification, plants adapt. So what is the answer? Can we have hard and waxy leaf? Yes, you'll have hard leaves, leathery leaves, rubbery leaves, so as to conserve the water. Okay, then you have tiny leaves. Yes, can you have thorn instead of leaves? Correct. So all of them above is the answer. Okay, so all is the answer. We've already seen that. M stripes was seen in the news. Why is it there? So basically stripes, there is an animal that has stripes, and M means mobile application. To track the using mobile application, using mobile ecosystem, using the mobile technology, and the different stripes that an animal has, you can see the number of the population of that animal. Where what will it be? Captive breeding of the wild fauna, okay, maintenance of tiger reserves, indigenous satellite navigation system, no, this is not IRNSS, security of national highways, no. So captive breeding के लिए नहीं है, maintenance of the tiger reserves, you have the answer. Basically M stands for monitoring system for the tiger. This is a monitoring system for the tiger. Basically they are using this is a software based monitoring system designed to assist in the wildlife protection. You are using GPS to track the movement of the tiger. You are trying to know the number of the tiger. You are trying to understand that where is the tiger moving. So answer is what? The answer is B. Then we have which of the following is the best description of the term ecosystem? The very first topic that we teach, very simple topic, ecosystem. Ecosystem basically refers to biotic component of a place plus abiotic component of a place. Biotic component and abiotic component together they are interacting, and the interaction with them. Biotic components means especially human being, animal, plants, and the abiotic component, let's say soil. Okay, let's say rocks. So biotic and abiotic component and the interaction. So what is it? Is it the community of organism interacting with each other? This is only about biotic component. That part of the earth which is inhabited by living organism, this is biosphere. A community of the organism together with the environment in which they live. Okay, so biotic plus abiotic component. The flora and fauna of a geographic area, this is biodiversity. So we are not talking about biosphere, we are not talking about biota, we are not talking about biodiversity. We are talking about an ecosystem. It's a functional unit of nature where living organisms interact among themselves and also with the environment that they live. So it's not just the interaction between the living organism. It is also the interaction between the living organism and the abiotic component, that is the environment in which they live. Okay, so the answer is what? The answer is C. This completes the first topic, a very simple topic of of the environment. We have completed the past 10 years questions related to the topics of the ecosystem. So this is what is done. Moving on to the next one, that is biodiversity. Biodiversity, which of the following is used in preparing a natural mosquito repellent? So you know that there are a lot of diseases like dengue, like chikungunya spreading over. So there have lot been efforts and studies to understand that how do we prepare natural mosquito repellent. So there is some biota, lemongrass, congress grass, elephant grass, nut grass. The answer is what? The answer is lemongrass. Okay, the lemongrass is basically used in, it has been well distributed through Africa, India, China, and it is known for its effectiveness in warding off the mosquito. Okay, you've seen that there's Odomos. You'll see that in the Odomos there is a chemical called as citranola. Okay, so basically this plant lemongrass contains this citronella. Okay, they disguise the smell that the mosquito mosquitoes use to target the victim. So basically it is the smell that is used by the mosquito to target a victim. So they are disguising the smell. That is why lemongrass is there. The strong odor of the lemongrass, they can kill about 90% of the mosquitoes, especially from a particular range of the species. Elephant grass is an invasive, Congress grass is a invasive species. You might have studied that in the news. So you should know that this is a invasive species. Okay. Okay, the next one. This is also a very interesting question. The vegetation of savanna. We know that savanna has tropical grasslands. It has grasses plus trees. So the vegetation of savanna contains of the grasslands with the small trees, but the extensive areas have no trees. So you will have grasses plus trees, but at some places you will not have trees. Why does that happen? The forest development in the such areas, that means the tree development in such area is generally kept in check. The trees are not allowed to grow too much. And what is one of the reason or some of the conditions? Consider the following conditions. Basically, the question is saying that savanna has grasses plus trees, but in some areas it will not have trees. It will have dominance of grasses. Why? What are the factors that is leading to less tree development? What are the factors that is leading to no tree development and majority of the grasses? So first one, the grasses, they will need less moisture. Trees, they need more moisture, more rainfall. In the savanna region, there is less rainfall. As there is less rainfall, you will see that as there is less rainfall, there's seasonal rainfall. So this is stopping the tree development. So definitely 4 has to be there in the answer. So D gets eliminated, A gets eliminated. Either answer is 4 and 5 or the answer is 2, 3 and 4. You should know one interesting fact that savanna is called as fire climax community. Savanna is called as fire climax community. What does that mean? Basically, in savanna there is regular fire. Fire is, and naturally the fire occurs because it is so dry region. As it is a dry region, fire is very common. And what do the fire do? They'll burn down the trees, not the grasses. The grasses over the period of time have developed an adaptation to be fire resistant. So grasses, they'll survive, but the trees are burnt down. So this is also one of the reasons that you have 2. So 2 and 4 has to be there. So B gets eliminated. But then interesting fact about this is you should know about grazing herbivores. What does grazing herbivore here means? Elephant. Grazing herbivore. This, what does elephant do? Basically, elephant, while it's on its journey to savanna is known for a lot of elephants. They will try to, the trees, they will obstruct the movement of the elephants. Elephants are big. The trees, they try to stop the movement. What do the elephant do? They will use their trunk and they'll uproot the trees. That's the behavior of elephant that has been seen. So grazing herbivore is also one of the reason why you have less of the trees in the savanna. So what is the answer? The answer is 2, 3 and 4. Okay, the answer is 2, 3 and 4. Savanna biome is known for the grasslands and few trees. This is because there is little precipitation. There is dry season. There are bush fires. Okay, there are bush fires that takes place. The vegetation is also affected by other factors. Okay, so this is the answer. The next one. due to the some reason, if there is a huge fall in the population of species of butterfly. The question is a situational based question. Suppose there is fall in the population of butterflies, what could be its likely consequences? What would happen if there is, what are the likely consequences? Pollination of some plants would be adversely affected. 1. There could be drastic increase in the fungal infection of the cultivated plants. 2. The third one, it could lead to the fall in the population of some species of wasps, spiders and birds. Okay. So basically it is trying to know that, do you understand what does the butterfly, what role does the butterfly perform? What is the niche of the butterfly? What is the functional space of the butterflies? We know that butterflies are used for pollination. They will suck the juice of a flower and they will sit on the other flower. As it sits on the other flower, the pollen grains of one flower is sticked to the other flower, and that helps in pollination, right? So pollination of some plants could be affected. Yes, definitely. Therefore, 1 has to be there in the answer. Then, does butterfly have a role in fungal infection? That we'll see. But definitely, can it lead to the fall in the population of some of the species of spider, birds and wasps? You'll have to see that. Yes, it will lead to this one. It will lead to the fall in the population of species of birds. The same thing, right? If there is less pollination of the flower, because butterflies help in pollination of flowers, if there's less pollination of flowers, will it not affect the population of wasps? It will affect. Will it not affect the population of some of the birds? It will affect. So obviously the answer has to be 1 and 3. Fungal infection and the role of butterflies has to be studied, but definitely 1 and 3 has to be there. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is C. That is 1 and 3. There is no direct link between the fungal infection and the increase in the fungal infection and the fall in the butterfly population. So we know that they will help in pollination. They help in pollination. Butterflies, they help in pollination. So bees, butterflies and other biotic agents, they also play an important role in pollination. So if the population of butterflies is affected, the population of wasps, ants, parasitic flies, birds, snakes, toads, rats, they are also some of the common predators of butterflies. A decline in butterfly population will adversely affect their food chain also. So statement 1, statement 3, both of them are correct. Moving on to the next one, Gadgil committee report. This is very back then in news. It was basically for the protection of the Western Ghats. Government had appointed a committee for the protection of Western Ghats. Madhav Gadgil sir, they have also got the one award also for the efforts. So Madhav Gadgil report says that the entire Western Ghats should be protected. It is such a important ecosystem that has to be protected. Okay, so that is there, but then there was lot of problem because of the report. If you protect the entire Western Ghat, what about the economy? How will the farmers survive? What about the industries? What about the other ports and other things that are dependent on the infrastructure? So it says that then there was another committee that was appointed, Kasturi Rangan committee, that also mentioned about the protection of the Western Ghat, but not the entire Western Ghats, only some part of the Western Ghats. Hence the answer is what? D. So this is related to 2016 current affairs, not much important now. So this completes the second topic also about the biodiversity. Moving on to the third part, that is agriculture part. This is more of geography and environment combined. Agriculture and environment. Which of the following crops, among the following crops, which one of the following is the most important anthropogenic source of both methane and nitrous oxide? So you know that methane is emitted by many of the agricultural crops, many of the other biotic living beings also, like the cows and ruminants, they also release methane. So definitely agriculture is a major source of methane. But then now it is also asking about nitrous oxide. So which of the following is the major source of this? The answer is there. The answer here is rice. Okay, the answer is rice here. So methane and nitrous, the more important component. They are more important greenhouse gases. So rice fields, rice paddies, they are considered the source of methane as well as nitrous oxide. Okay. Because of the use of nitrogenous fertilizers in the rice. So rice, there is obviously methane, but also use of nitrogenous compound, therefore N2O also gets emitted. So hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is B. Then we have system of rice intensification of cultivation. There's a particular method of cultivation that you call as system of rice intensification, in which there is alternative wet and drying of the rice fields. See, we know that rice needs a lot of water. It's a water intensive crop. The paddy fields are saturated with the water. As the paddy fields are saturated with the water, okay, now what do you need? There's a lot of water that is being used. As there's a lot of water that is being used, and if it is used in the dry areas, that causes issues in the soil salinization. If there's more water that is used, there is falling groundwater level. So what happened is, we want to cultivate rice but in a sustainable manner, that uses less water, that uses less seeds, that uses less electricity, because if you use more water, obviously you will use more electricity also. So to reduce these inputs, there's a new method of cultivation called as the system of rice intensification. What is happening here? You will use alternative wet and drying of the rice field. So you'll not keep the water saturated, you'll not keep the rice field saturated with the water, you'll not keep it dug up in the water or completely soaked up in the water. There's also drying of the field. So what is happening? What are you doing? Will it reduce electricity consumption? Obviously. Will it reduce methane production? Yes, because if there's more of water, there's more of gases that are being coal that is being used especially for electricity production. So there's also methane production that is there. Will it reduce seed requirement? Yes, that was also there. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is D. Okay, so here you involve cultivation of rice with the organic manure. Not much of the fertilizers is used. You will space the rice at a wider spacing. You will use the square pattern. Okay, you will use this as a method. Okay, so you will use less seeds, you will use less water, you're trying to increase the productivity. So land, seeds, water, nutrients, human labor, all of them are being changed. Hence the answer is what? All of the above. Okay, moving on to the next one. How is permaculture farming different from a conventional chemical farming? Permaculture is permanent agriculture. Permaculture, how is it different from conventional chemical farming? Presently we use a lot of fertilizers, chemicals, insecticides, pesticides. So what is permaculture and how is it different from the present day practices? Basically permaculture discourages monocultural practices. That means only rice fields, only wheat fields, that is discouraged by permaculture. But in the conventional farming, monoculture practices are predominant. Okay, that's the first statement. Conventional chemical farming can cause an increase in the soil salinity, but the occurrence of such phenomena is not observed in the permaculture farming. Okay, the conventional chemical farming is easily possible in semi-arid areas, but the permaculture farming is not easily possible in such areas. Okay, the practice of mulching is most important in permaculture farming, but not necessarily in the conventional farming. So if you have an idea about permaculture farming, it's permanent agriculture, wherein you use the natural practices, wherein you use the mulching. What is mulching? Keeping a layer of the straw, keeping a layer of the hay stacks over the soil. So if this is my soil, you know that I'm not cultivating the soil. If I'm not cultivating the soil, what will happen? There can be wind that can blow away the soil, the fertile soil, so there can be soil erosion. If it is not covered by a layer, the water of the soil, that is the soil moisture, can be evaporated, so that can happen. So what happens? Mulching means you keep a layer of the straw or the haystack on a soil which is not cultivated. Why do you do that? You do that so as to conserve the soil moisture. You do that so as to reduce the soil erosion. So that is your mulching. Okay, so can mulching be very important in permaculture farming but not necessarily in the conventional farming? Yes, 4 has to be there. Is 1 and 2 also correct? Yes, the 1 and 2 answer is also correct. So answer is what? B. See, the third statement you says that in semi-arid areas permaculture is cannot be done. No, it's what is permaculture? Permanent agriculture. You do some form of the cultivation, or you do some activities that preserves your soil, preserves the water, preserves the crops. That is permaculture. So answer is what? So 3 does not have to be there. Conventional chemical farming is easily possible in the semi-arid regions. Okay, fine, but it is not possible. Permaculture is not possible. Permaculture is possible everywhere and anywhere. So 3 is definitely wrong. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is B. Permaculture is basically agriculture system that is designed on the basis of nature. It promotes multi-cropping, integrated farming. Multi-cropping, you will grow wheat, rice, pulses in crop rotation. That is multi-cropping. Okay, lot of crops are being grown. Whereas the chemical farming is suitable for monoculture. Why? Because you want to give specific inputs like fertilizers, irrigation for one particular type of crop. And if you grow this type of crops, one type of crop if you grow, then what will happen? There is more profit, there is more market. So therefore conventional farming does that. The conventional farming alters the natural system. Yes, it does. It alters salinity, it alters the erosion. It is chemical, is possible in the semi-arid areas, yes, but permaculture can also be done in the semi-arid regions. Mulching is important component, yes. So answer is what? 1, 2 and 4. Okay, moving on to the next one. In the context of India's preparation for climate smart agriculture, consider the following statement. We are talking about the context of India's preparation for climate smart agriculture. What is climate smart agriculture? Basically, see, I will read the question later, but I will have to create a framework in my mind. Agriculture and climate smart agriculture. Agriculture basically increases greenhouse gases. Methane is released when there is decomposition of the crops. Carbon dioxide is also released. So we know that agriculture sector contributes to greenhouse gases. Okay, this is there. Now what is climate smart agriculture? Climate smart agriculture is that type of agriculture that will not contribute much amount of greenhouse gases by reducing the greenhouse gas components. It is becoming climate smart. Moreover, the climate smart agriculture, therefore it reduces the impact on the climate change. Moreover, the other component of climate smart agriculture means that with the climate change that is happening, there is problem in the agriculture sector. Droughts are there, floods are there. So we want to reduce the impact of climate change also on agriculture. There are two components. Agriculture contributing to less greenhouse gases, that is climate smart. The other meaning of climate smart also is that the effect of climate change and the disasters related to the climate change, the effect of it would be less on the agriculture. That means we will grow that crops which are drought resilient. We will grow that crops which are flood, which can tolerate the floods. We will grow that crops that even can survive in less amount of fertilizers. That is climate smart. Okay, so climate smart agriculture. Now read the question. In the context of India's preparation for climate smart agriculture, consider the following statement. The climate smart village approach in India is a part of project led by Climate Change and Agriculture and Food Security and International Research Program. So basically, if you have a village program, climate smart village program, that is being supported by a international research program. Okay, the project of CCAFS, that is Climate Change, Agriculture and Food Security, is being carried out under the consultative group of International Agriculture Research headquartered in France. Then ICRISAT, that is the International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics in India, is one of the CGIAR research center. So if I talk about 1, 2 and 3, this is more asking about a particular program that was there in news in 2021. So the answer here is what? The answer here is all of them are. So there is one, this climate smart village program that has been supported by international research program. The agency is also supporting the program, and in India ICRISAT is one. So it is more about then in news, what was then in news and what was the program. So these are the program details, not so important now. Still, in case you want to read it, we'll say what is the climate smart agriculture. It's a strategy to assist those in managing agriculture system efficiently, adapting to the climate change. Basically, increasing the productivity of the agriculture, adapting to the climate change. Agriculture should adapt to the climate change, and you should reduce the greenhouse gases wherever possible. So these are sustainability, adaptability, as well as reducing the greenhouse gases. This was more about the news. So this is what we have. So the answer is D here. So let us do question number 42. What are the advantages of fertigation in agricultural? Fertigation, fertilizer plus irrigation. You put fertilizers in the water that are used for irrigation purposes, especially if it is drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. So what is the usage of it? Controlling the alkalinity of irrigation water is possible. Efficient application of rock phosphate and other phosphatic fertilizers is possible. Increased availability of nutrients to plants is possible. Reduction in the leaching of the chemical nutrients is possible. So you're putting fertilizers, what all can be done? So we know that if you just do irrigation and if you put a lot of fertilizers, there can be problems like soil salinity, there can be problem of soil pollution. It is also possible that if you put too much of fertilizers, the plant will utilize only as much is needed, gets inflow with the river waters and the other irrigation waters. So that is what we know about it. So what is the answer to this? The answer to this is this one, 1, 3 and 4. That means that you can reduce what? Can there be increased availability of nutrients to the plants? If you put fertilizers in the water, while the plant is taking the water, it will also take fertilizers. So yes, that can be increased availability of the nutrients to plants, that is possible. Fourth, there's reduction in the leaching of the chemical nutrients. Yes, if there's not much of the fertilizers. So there are two things. If you put a lot of fertilizers and then you irrigate using pipe, using tube wells, using etc. So what happens? Lot of nutrients, they leach down with the flow of the water, because if there's more water put. So if there is leaching of the nutrients, that becomes an issue. So if you just put fertilizers with the water itself, there will be reduced leaching. So and obviously, can you reduce the alkalinity? Similar to leaching, you can also reduce salinity, also all can reduce alkalinity. It is not related to the application of the rock phosphate and the other phosphatic minerals. So it's a technique. What is fertigation? It's a technique of applying fertilizers where the drip irrigation system incorporates the fertilizers into the irrigation water. It is used to evenly disperse the fertilizers. It can evenly disperse it that. It is also used for chemical agriculture and horticulture. So statement 1 is definitely correct, that it will help in reducing the drip irrigation, basically avoids water spillage that leads to more salinity. So if you use fertilizers with drip irrigation, there can be controlled salinity, alkalinity. Rock phosphate is not soluble, therefore it is not suitable for fertigation. So it is not soluble in water. It is soluble in other chemicals but not waters. So it's 2 is incorrect. We've seen 3 as correct and we've seen 4 as also correct. So the answer is what? 1, 3 and 4. Moving on to the next one. What are the advantages of zero tillage in agriculture? So zero tillage, you're not going for tilling practices. You are not tilling the land extensively. Okay, that is zero tillage. So what happens? Think it like this. If I till the land extensively, if I turn the land and the soil extensively, there can be soil erosion. That is definitely there. But if I don't till it, what will happen? Sowing of the wheat is possible without burning the residue of the previous crops. Okay. Without the need for a nursery of the rice sapling, direct planting of the paddy seeds in the wet soil is possible. Carbon sequestration in the soil is possible. Which of the following is advantages of the zero tillage? All of them are advantage of the zero tillage. So what happens? How is this happening? Let's see this. So practice of sowing seeds without tillage or preparing the soil is called as zero tillage. You are directly sowing the seeds. Okay, so you need not burn the residue if you are directly sowing it. So there is no burning of the residue that is needed. So it can reduce. If what happens if you do zero tillage, it will reduce labor, it will reduce fuel, it will reduce irrigation and machinery cost. Okay, it will also you will not have to leave the land fallow. Okay, so this decreases the amount of soil erosion that we've already seen. Zero tillage is where the crop seed will be sown without prior land preparation. So even the stubbles are present, that is fine. Then direct seeding of the rice is possible with the help of zero tillage. Okay, with minimum tillage, because then you will save the labor. The third is, it is claimed that it increases the soil organic matter and helps in increasing the carbon sequestration. So organic matter in the soil is increased, and this is how it happens. So statement 1, 2 and 3, all of them are correct. Moving on to the next one. In the context of India, which of the following are considered to be the practice of eco-friendly agriculture? You're going for eco-friendly agriculture. What is it? Crop diversification, legume intensification, tensiometer use and vertical farming. What is vertical farming? You are farming, you are doing the agriculture not on the horizontal surface, not on the land surface, but on vertical. You can have walls, you can have along the urban infrastructure also there can be some gardening that can be done. So obviously it will We know that the land is a very scarce commodity. So obviously it is an eco-friendly. Vertical farming is definitely an eco-friendly. Crop diversification is 100% there. Legume intensification is also there. So what is the answer? The answer is, I'm so sorry. Vertical farming is not supposed to be eco-friendly agricultural in nature. This is all of them. 1, 2 and 3 are definitely there. So this one is there. Sustainable agriculture is basically you want to protect the environment. So mixed farming, crop farming, legume intensification, growing more of legume, crop rotation, these are definitely there. But as far as, and tensiometer means measuring the strain. So you want to know that how much water would be absorbed by the plant. So that is there. Basically here it is considered to be crop raising in vertical layers that will combine the soilless farming practice. So there is not much soil that is used and a controlled environment is used. So we are yet to ascertain that whether it will be an eco-friendly practice or not, but definitely 1, 2 and 3 are there. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is A. Then consider what is the following. Which of the following is the use of biochar? I'm so sorry. Which of the following is the use of biochar? The biochar can be used as a part of growing medium in vertical farming. When biochar is part of growing medium, it promotes the growth of nitrogen fixing organism. When biochar is a part of growing medium, it enables the growth of growing medium to retain water. It can help in to retain water for a longer period of time. Which of the following are correct? All of them are correct. Biochar basically means what? It is a carbon residue. It is highly grained. It is not very fine. It has grains. It is coarse. It is highly grained residue, carbon residue that is being produced by controlled thermal decomposition of biomass. When you burn a biomass, when you burn a wood in presence of oxygen, you will have carbon dioxide and you can have charcoal, you can have other thing. But if you burn it under controlled oxygen requirement, you will have biochar. So it is basically, it helps in water retention and it has water soluble nutrients. So all of them are correct, that it can help in vertical farming. Okay, it is a part of growing medium in the vertical farming. It can also improve water quality. It can also increase agriculture productivity, soil fertility. It can help in the growth of the forest. It is desirable soluble material because it can help attract and retain water. It is hygroscopic in nature. Okay, so all of them above are correct. In India, the use of carbofuran, a very nice question. Similar type of question was also asked before. The use of carbofuran, methyl parathion phorate, triazofos is viewed with apprehension. These chemicals are used in. These are basically used in. These are a type of pesticides. All of them are pesticides in agriculture. So you should know about them, that they are in India. Pesticides have to be registered with the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and there's a directorate of the plant in it that actually talks about it. So there were chemical compounds that have been there in news, that they can cause cancer. They can also lead to endocrine disruption. They are also ecotoxic, and so UPSC has picked up question from there. Carbofuran, you have there also carbofuran, you have oxyfluorofin. So here, what was the question? It was about carbofuran, parathion as well as phorate. So they have been used as pesticides. Okay, next one. Which of the following statements that describe carbon fertilization? Okay, in carbon fertilization, increased plant growth due to increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay, increased temperature of earth due to increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This is about greenhouse gases, greenhouse gas effect. The increased acidity of the ocean as a result of concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay, absorption of all the living beings on earth to the climate change brought about by increased concentration in the atmosphere. Here, the increased plant growth due to increase in the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is called as carbon fertilization. See, fertilizers, what do? They promote the growth of the crops. Carbon fertilization, that is increased plant growth due to increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So if there is more carbon dioxide, what happens? There is more photosynthesis. If there is more photosynthesis, there is more plant growth. The plants utilize the carbon dioxide. So if there is more photosynthesis, therefore there is increased plant growth. This is carbon fertilization. It is basically artificial enrichment of the greenhouse gases with the carbon dioxide, and this refers with the increase in the photosynthesis, increase in the efficiency of the leaf to absorb CO2, and then it can help in this part. Okay, so this is about your carbon fertilization. The next one, with reference to agriculture soil, consider the following statement. So there is something about agriculture soils that is given. The higher organic matter in the soil drastically reduces its water holding capacity. Soil does not play an important role in the sulfur cycle. Irrigation over a period of time can contribute to the salinization of agricultural land. 3 is a very obvious fact. If you put a lot of water in the soil, if you put a lot of irrigated water in the soil, and in the dry areas, the water starts evaporating. As the water starts evaporating, the salts in the water, they are remaining. They remain where? They remain in the soil. So this leads to what? Soil salinization. So irrigation over a period of time can contribute to the salinization of some agriculture, and that is true. So this is definitely there. The first one, is the first one statement correct? If you have more organic matter, you have more of humus, organic matter, that will not reduce water retention. Rather, it is more porous. It holds more water. So it will increase the water holding capacity. So this is wrong and this is correct. So 1 is wrong. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is 3 only. First one is incorrect. Soil water holding capacity is the amount of water that a soil can hold for the crop use. So organic matter basically will determine the soil water holding capacity. So sulfur is one of the nutrient cycle between the soil. So sulfur describes the movement of sulfur through atmosphere, mineral, organic form. So can you say that soil does not have any role to play in the sulfur cycle? No, that is not there. Salinization is correct. So answer is what? 3 only. 1 and 2 are incorrect. Then the question number 2018, with reference to the circumstances in the Indian agriculture, the concept of conservation agriculture assumes significance. Which one of the following fall under the conservation agriculture? Basically, conservation agriculture is a term given by FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. Food and Agriculture Organization is an international body. It talks about three important components of the conservation agriculture. What are the 3 important components? Let's look. There are 5 given. We have to identify those 3. First, avoiding the monoculture practices. Okay. Second, adopting minimum tillage. Okay. Avoiding the cultivation of plantation crops. Okay. Avoiding using crop residues to cover the soil surface. Fine. Adopting spatial and temporal crop sequencing and crop rotation. Okay, so basically first thing it mention is you will have to adopt minimum tillage. Okay, you will have to adopt the minimum tillage. Then you also will have to use the crop residue to cover the soil, and then you will also have to use the crop rotation. So the 3 important components are minimum tillage, crop rotation, as well as mulching. Mulching is the crop residue. So there are 3 important components. Does it talk about that you will have to avoid the cultivation of plantation crop? No. So 3 is definitely wrong. It does not say that you will not grow the cultivation of plantation crop. Even if you could have eliminated, which was very obvious, that avoiding the cultivation of plantation crop, it does not say that. It says that 2, 4 and 5. Hence the answer is what? C. So conservation agriculture, it is about FAOs. There are 3 principles that we've already said. So that you will go for minimal soil disturbance, therefore minimum tillage. Then it talks about permanent soil cover, that is mulching. And third, it says species diversification or the rotation of the crops. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is. So it is not about identifying only the features, but it's also saying that 3 is definitely wrong. If you could eliminate, you would have got the answer. The answer was C. Again, which of the following can help in water conservation in agriculture? You want to conserve the water in the agriculture. That is the sole purpose. We know that soil has moisture. I need to conserve that soil moisture. So how do I conserve the soil moisture? Zero tillage. If you will not till the land, it will be zero tillage. Then the soil would not be overturned. The moisture would not come to the surface. If the moisture does not come to the surface, it will not be evaporated. So zero tillage. If you avoid tilling, you avoid overturning, you avoid the exposure of soil moisture to the atmosphere. So that is there. Applying gypsum before the irrigation field. Gypsum is basically done to reduce soil salinity and not to water. Okay. Allowing the crop residue to remain on the field. So this is the field. You allow the crop residue to remain on the field. This is basically mulching. You allow the mulch to remain on the field, and therefore you allow the water to be there. So water is not overexposed. There's a layer of straw, hay and others. So this is also there. So what is the answer? The answer is 1 and 3 only. Okay, the answer is C. We've seen 1 and 3. So this is about salt, soil salinization. Okay. Yes, so second is definitely wrong. Moving on to the next one. What can be the impact of excessive or inappropriate usage of the nitrogenous fertilizers in irrigation? So if you apply a lot of nitrogenous fertilizer and if you apply too much or there's excess as well as inappropriate use, what happens? Proliferation of the nitrogen fixing microorganism in the soil can occur. Increase in the acidity of the soil can take place. Leaching of the nitrate to the groundwater can occur. So if you put lot of nitrogenous fertilizers, will it actually increase the nitrogen fixing organism? No, that is not the case. Nitrogen fixing is basically talking about what? Fixing the atmospheric nitrogen in the usable form for the plants. So if you apply a lot of nitrogenous fertilizers, that will not affect the growth of the microorganism directly. So 1 is wrong. Will it increase the acidity? Yes, that can definitely increase. Can there be leaching of the nitrates? If there is more of the nutrients, there will be more of the leaching of that. So answer is what? The answer is 2 and 3. So with the excess of the nitrogenous fertilizers in agriculture, the nitrogen fixing bacteria decreases. Okay, because then what happens? See, what do nitrogen fixing bacteria do? They'll convert atmospheric nitrogen to the compound to in a form of the compounds that is utilized by the plants. That is what atmospheric fixing of nitrogen means. So now what happens? I am directly giving plants nitrogenous compound in the form of fertilizers. So what will happen? The microorganism's role will reduce. If the microorganism's role will reduce, there will be less fixing of atmospheric nitrogen. So what happens? If you increase the soil nitrogen, the nitrogen fixing bacteria decreases. It will make the soil more acidic and the nitrates will leach into the groundwater. So it is the more nitrogen in the soil leads to less need for the nitrogen fixing bacteria. The role is reduced. So 1 is definitely incorrect. Statement 2 and 3 are correct. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is 2 and 3. Moving on to the next unit. The next unit that we have is pollution. In the context of WHO air quality guidelines, consider the following statement. The 24-hour mean of 2.5 should not exceed 15 micrograms per meter cube. And so basically this was given as a guidelines by WHO air quality guidelines. What are the guidelines? The 24 mean of PM 2.5 should not exceed 15 microgram per meter cube and the annual mean of PM 2.5 should not exceed 5 microgram per meter cube. In a year, the highest level of ozone pollution occurred during the period of inclement weather. Okay, now if you know the term of what does inclement weather means. Okay, PM10 can penetrate the lung barrier and enter the bloodstream. And the next one is excessive ozone in the air can trigger asthma. Now inclemental weather means cloudy weather. It means cloudy weather. Okay, inclement. And it is talking about that ozone pollution will occur. The ozone pollution will occur. Basically it is talking about tropospheric ozone. Ozone in the troposphere. The tropospheric ozone occurs because of the pollution of hydrocarbon plus NOx in the presence of sunlight plus volatile organic compounds to give you ozone. So there has to be sunlight. So highest level of ozone pollution can occur in a cloudy weather. This is a definitely wrong statement. So you needed two things. One, NCERT knowledge of what is tropospheric ozone. The second, the word what does inclement weather mean. Or in case you did not understand, then please read the Hindi part. The PM10 can enter the bloodstream and the lung barrier. No, it's PM 2.5. So 2 is wrong and 3 is wrong. So 3 is wrong, 3 is wrong, 2 is wrong. The answer is what? The answer is 1 and 4. Can ozone trigger asthma? Yes. Then that is one of the factual information that you have. So 1 is definitely correct, 2 is incorrect because the tropospheric ozone is because of the reaction of sunlight, that is photochemical reaction with the pollutants like NOx and VOCs emitted by this requires not the inclemental weather but the sunny weather. Okay, so 1 is incorrect, 2 is incorrect, 3 is also incorrect. It is not PM10, it is PM2.5 that enters. Then the statement 4 is correct. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is B. Okay, moving on to the next one. Consider the following statements: carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, ozone, sulfur dioxide. Excess of which of the above in the environment is or are the outcomes of the acid rain? You have to talk about the acid rain. So we know that the acid rain is caused by what? The acid rain is majorly caused by, 2 and 4. It is SOX and NOx. This is also a reaction that is given in your NCERT, environmental chemistry, the chapter of environmental chemistry. So NOx and SOX are responsible majorly for the acid rain. Okay, so acid rain, basically normal rain has a pH of 5.6. If it reduces to 4, 4.2, 4.4, it is called as acid rain. It is because of the SOX and because of the NOx to form sulfur and nitrous oxide. So what does this cause? This causes acid rain. Okay. Then there is constant concern about the copper smelting plants. So there are some concerns about the copper smelting plants, that they may release what? They may release lethal quantities of the carbon monoxide into the environment. Okay. The copper slag can cause the leaching of some heavy metals into the environment. Fine. They may release sulfur dioxide as pollutant. So okay, which of the following is above are correct? The answer here is 2 and 3 only. There is not lethal component of the carbon dioxide that is released to the environment by the copper smelting. So copper smelting does not release lethal quantities of carbon monoxide into the environment. Is carbon monoxide released? Yes, some parts, but lethal quantities, no, that is not correct. Can they produce leaching of the heavy metals? Yes, that can be there. So 2 is therefore correct. Can they release SO2 as pollutant? Yes, that is also correct. What is copper smelting? Applying heat to extract a metal. You extract a metal by applying the heat. Okay, smelting uses heat and chemical reducing agent to decompose the ore. Okay, so this is about the slag and leaving the metal base. So that the answer is what? The answer is 1 is wrong, 2 and 3, then the answer is B. With reference to the furnace oil, okay, consider the following statement. It is a product of oil refineries. Yes, some industries may use it to generate power. Okay, it causes sulfur emissions into the environment. It causes sulfur emission release in the environment. So what is the answer here? The answer here is D. Okay, all of them are correct. It is a product of oil refineries. Yes. It is used to generate power. Yes. Some industries use it to generate power. True. It can cause sulfur emission in the environment. Yes, that is also true. Okay, so we know that what is furnace oil? It is a dark viscous oil residual that is used for crude oil distillation. Product 2, statement 2, if I talk about, the marine engineers and the sports speed engines, they will use the furnace oil, and then it releases oxides of sulfur. Okay. Next one, 2021. The magnite particles suspected to cause neurodegenerative problems, okay, are generated as the environment pollutants from which of the following? So basically, these are the pollutants, magnetite pollutants, and they'll also cause neurological diseases, problems. Where do you use these magnetite particles, and what at places? Brakes of the motor vehicles, engine of the motor vehicles, microwave stoves within homes, power plants, telephone lines. Where are they being used? They are being used at 1, 2 and 4. They are not used in the microwave stoves. They are also not used in the telephone lines. Okay, so they are basically used in the motor vehicles and the power plants. So they are basically magnetite particles. You know that they are magnetic. They have magnetic mineral forms of iron. So we know that iron, they have hematite ore, you have magnetite ore. So magnetite particles are magnetic mineral form of iron, and they are known to be present in the air pollution. Where do you use them? You use them in vehicle brake, you use them in petrol legion exhaust. You also can use them in the power plants, but not in the microwave stoves, not in the telephone lines. Okay. 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 they have, WHO says that the telephone lines, they have low frequency, low energy electromagnetic fields. Therefore, they are the potential. They can be the potential source, but we are not very sure. WHO source says that yes, they can be the source, but we are not very sure of that. Now, 59, the common carbon metric supposed by UNEP has been developed by. So UNEP says that there should be some common metric for what? For assessing the carbon footprint of the building operating around the world. Building operations that are going on, what is the carbon common footprint that is there? So this is then in news, it was then in news, therefore it was asked. Okay, it was the initiative of UNEP to understand the impact of the greenhouse gas and the release of the greenhouse gases. Okay, which is the blue carbon? It is very simple. It is basically the carbon captured by the aquatic and the coastal ecosystem. Blue carbon, green carbon, brown carbon, red carbon, black carbon, you should know about it. Black carbon, blue carbon and brown carbon. Okay, which of the following are reasons or the factors for the exposure of the benzene pollution? The automobile exhaust, tobacco smoke, wood burning, using varnished wooden furniture, using products made of polyurethane. Consider the select the correct answer using the code given below. Automobile exhaust and the others. Okay, so which of the following are the reason or the factors for the exposure of benzene pollution? Let us look at it. The answer is here is A, that 1, 2 and 3, automobile exhaust, tobacco smoke and the wood burning. Using varnished wooden furnitures, no, they will not cause benzene pollution. And using products made of polyurethane, that is also not a cause of the benzene pollution. Basically, what is benzene? Benzene is a colorless or a pale yellow liquid with a sweet odor. So there's a sweet odor. It is colorless. It is pale yellow in color, and sometimes pale yellow, or sometimes it can be colorless. It has a sweet odor and it is highly flammable. It will get quickly evaporated in the air. The water, its vapor is denser than the air. Okay, so it gets quickly evaporated in the air. It also can settle down in the low-lying areas. The natural source of benzene are volcanoes, forest fires. You can have even the cigarette smoke, gasolines, the crude oil, fuel evaporation. These are the various sources of benzene. Okay, benzene can also be used as a raw material in plastics, resins, nylon, synthetic fibers. Okay, it is also used in the production of lubricants, rubbers, dyes, detergent, drugs. Okay, some paints and varnish may contain benzene, but it is not the thermal breakdown of poly can also release, but not in as much quantity. So these are not well known established pollution resources or pollution points. The main pollution points are the volcanoes, the cigarettes, you have the plastic and also the synthetic fibers, drugs and etc. So automobile exhaust, yes. Tobacco smoke, yes. Wood burning, yes. So the answer is what? 1, 2 and 3. Okay, moving on. According to the India's national policy on biofuel, which can be used as a raw material for the production of biofuels? The answer here, okay, the answer here is, can cassava be used? Yes. Can damaged feed grain be used? Yes. Can groundnut seeds? Basically, it is talking about which of the following can be used as a raw material as per what? As per a policy. The policy on the biofuels. Can I use rotten potatoes? Yes. Can I use sugar beet? Yes. So answer is what? 1, 2, 5 and 6. The answer is 1, 2, 5 and 6, which is A. Basically, this was 2018 policy. It says that certain crops that are damaged, damaged crops, certain starchy crops like cassava, beets, they have been used. So it was about then. In reality, all of them can be used for production of biofuel. But what does the policy focuses upon? Policy focuses upon 1, 2, 5 and 6. Okay. Yes. So it is talking about, see, it is talking about broken rice, rotten potatoes, broken wheats, damaged wheats. So damaged or starchy crops like sugar beet, sorghum, starch containing material like corn, cassava. So it is more focusing on, it is also focusing on sugar cane and the sugar containing material. So the idea is sugar containing material, the idea is starchy products, and the idea was rotten or the damaged products. So it was majorly focusing upon then in 2018. In reality, all of them can be used, but what does the policy focuses upon? It focuses upon 1, 2, 5 and 6. Okay, which of the following statements best describe the term social cost of carbon? It is a measure in the monetary value of. It is a measure in the monetary value of. What does it, social cost of carbon, talk about? If I talk about carbon dioxide, there is a social cost for the releasing of the carbon dioxide. So long-term damage done by the tons of carbon dioxide emission in a given year, requirement of the fossil fuel for a country to provide goods and services in a citizen based on the burning of those fuels, efforts put in the mitigation of the climate, refugee to adapt to the living in a new place, the contribution of individual persons to the carbon footprint on the planet Earth. So it has to do something with carbon. So C is definitely gone wrong. Not this. This is also basically the long-term damage. Social cost means something that is costly to the society, something that is costly to the environment, but I have to use it. So it's the long-term damage done by the ton of CO2 emission in a given year. Okay. So this was the statement then. Moving on to the next one. Okay, the social cost of carbon. The social cost of carbon describes the measure monetary value of the long-term damage done by the ton of CO2 emission in a given year. The social cost is used to estimate in the dollar all the economic damage that would occur from damaging 1 ton of CO2 in the atmosphere. Okay? So this is the answer there. Okay, the next one, the coal ash contain arsenic, lead and mercury. Okay, the coal fire plants releases sulfur dioxide and the oxides of nitrogen to the environment. Okay, high ash content is observed in the Indian coal. So what if the following statements are correct? The answer is D, all of them are correct. Yes, the coal releases lead, arsenic, mercury. It releases that. Indian coal is known for the high ash content, that is also there, and obviously we know that the power plants releases SOx, NOx in the environment. Hence the answer is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, moving on. So all of them are actually correct. In the context of which of the following are the terms pyrolysis and plasma gasification mentioned? There's extraction of rare earth elements, natural gas extraction technologies, hydrogen fuel based automobiles, waste to energy technologies. So we are talking about pyrolysis and plasma gasification. When we talk about pyrolysis, this is more of about the waste to energy gas releases. So you will talk about methods like how do you use the waste. You can have pyrolysis, you can talk about gasification, you can talk about thermal purification. All of these are what you are using the waste to production of the energy. Pyrolysis basically talks about the decomposition of organic matter. You are under the controlled oxygen or in the absence of oxygen, in the absence of air or under controlled oxygen. That is pyrolysis. So it releases less amount of pollution. Only some amount of pollution are actually released and much amount of the energy is actually generated. This is a very easy question about the microbead. Which of the following? There's a great concern about the microbeads that are being released in the environment. So we know that toothpaste, cosmetic products, the creams, the scrubs have some amount of microbeads. They are considered harmful for the marine ecosystem. They are very, very small particles. They will get released into the aquatic ecosystem. As they are not filtered by the natural drainage system, they get released in the aquatic ecosystem and then they can cause pollution there. So microbeads are solid plastics. They are microplastics such as polypropylene and polyethylene. They are other petrochemical plastic that are used. They will cause water pollution that can damage the aquatic ecosystem. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. The next question that we have is, which one of the following statements are correct about the deposits of the methane hydrates? So we know there's a lot of news about methane hydrates, the cold icy form of methane found in the ocean floor. That is what it is about. So what is it saying? The global warming might trigger the release of methane gas from the deposits. Okay, large deposits of the methane hydrate are found in Arctic tundra and under the seafloor. Fine. Methane in the atmosphere oxidizes to form carbon dioxide after a decade or two. So 1 and 2 are definitely correct. The third one is also correct. Okay, so methane CH4, if you oxidize it, you will get CO2 over a period of time. Okay, so methane hydrate is like icy substances formed when CH4 and water combined at a very low temperature. That is what it is and under moderate pressure. Owing, if there's melting of ice, obviously the methane gas would be released, and that is what the first statement says. The second is also correct, that you will need what? You will, they are found in the Arctic tundra and also on the seafloor. And the fourth one, methane is a short-lived gas, but when it, over the time, it oxidizes to form carbon dioxide in a decade or so. So all of them above are correct. Then next question that we have is, consider the following: carbon monoxide, methane, ozone and sulfur dioxide. Which of the released of the above are released in the atmosphere due to the burning of crops or the biomass residue? The answer is simple. All of them would be released. CO, CH4, O3, SOX, all of them would be released. Okay, so burning of crop residues releases not only these gases, it also releases ammonia, it also releases aerosol particles, it also releases volatile organic compounds. So all of them would be released, and most of them are dangerous to human health and therefore classified as pollutants. Moving on to the next one. Which of the following is or are possible consequences of heavy sand mining in the riverbeds? So this is the river. On the riverbed you have a lot of sands. On the riverbed you have a lot of sand. There's a lot of sand particles that are there. If you do the mining, that is called as sand mining. So what will sand mining do? Okay, let's look at, will it decrease the salinity in the river? Okay, will it reduce the pollution? Will it increase the pollution of the groundwater? Okay, will it lead to lowering of the water table? Now see, if I talk about sand, it is asking about the role of sand in general. It is also asking about if you remove that sand, what will happen? So river water carries sand. As it carries sand, the sand is deposited on the bed. That is called as the sandy beds. Now what does it do? The sand, they are very, very fine particles. They can absorb some of the pollutants and release the fresh water underground. So will it affect the pollution of the groundwater? Yes, if you mine the sand, it will affect. What does the sand do? It allows the water to percolate down to the ground level. So if you do the sand mining, will the percolation of water not get affected? Obviously, it will also get affected. So 2 and 3 is definitely an answer. But does it have an effect on the salinity? Rocks, they have an effect on the salinity of the river, but this is not exactly related to sand mining. So what will happen? The answer is what? 2 and 3. What is sand mining? The extraction of sand from the river. One is incorrect. It may lead to saline water intrusion. Okay, it can increase the contamination of the groundwater, and it can also lead to lowering of the groundwater. So what is the answer? 1 is not correct, 2 and 3 are correct, hence the answer is B. The next one, biological oxygen demand is a standard criteria for. What is BOD famous for? It is famous for measuring the oxygen level in the blood. It is famous for computing the oxygen level in the forest ecosystem. It is pollution assay, assessment, a pollution indicator in the aquatic ecosystem. It is assessing oxygen level in the high altitude region. So you know that whenever you want to know that if a river body or a lake or any body is polluted or not, you do some analysis. There are some indicators. Some of the indicators are, what is the oxygen demand? What is the oxygen demand in the lakes? What is the oxygen demand in the rivers? So basically what happens is, if there is a lot of pollution in a body, water body, then what happens? It has to be cleaned. The pollutant has to be cleaned. Who cleans the pollutant? Microorganisms, they clean the pollutant. As they clean the pollutant, they biodegrade the pollutant. They would need more of oxygen. So biological oxygen demand, if there is greater biological oxygen demand, that is an indicator of the pollution assay in an ecosystem. It is also seen like this. If there is greater pollution, there can be greater deaths. As there is greater deaths, to clean those dead decaying organism also you need lot of oxygen. So biological oxygen demand is a criteria for pollution assay. Okay, so BOD measures what is the amount of oxygen needed by the bacteria in decomposing the organic waste. So the decomposing of the organic waste, that talks about the BOD. This includes the biodegradable elements only. Next one, in the context of solving pollution problems, which is or advantage of bioremediation technique? What is bioremediation technique? Basic use of bio. Let's split the word. Bio means biota, biological beings. Remediation, they want to remedy something, they want to solve something. So what is bioremediation technique? That is, you use some biotic form for remedy for what? Example, you use some biological form for reducing the pollution. In case you want to reduce the pollution, you're using some biota. Okay, that is called as bioremediation technique. So what is it? It is a technique for cleaning the pollution by enhancing the same biodegradation process that occurs in the nature. Okay, any contaminant with heavy metals such as cadmium and lead can be readily and completely treated by bioremediation through microorganism. Okay, genetic engineering can also be used to create microorganisms specifically designed for bioremediation. So 1 and 3 are definitely correct, but when you say heavy metals can be completely degraded and treatable, that becomes too of a overstatement. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is 1 and 3. The answer is only C. So bioremediation is basically use of a living organism for the removal of the contaminants. Okay, these can include microbes, bacteria, etc. Statement 1 is correct, that you are using some organism for the breakdown of non-toxic substances. Statement 2 is incorrect. Not all the contaminants, especially the heavy metals, can be treated. They are not readily captured. They are not readily treated. Statement 3 is also correct. The genetic engineering can be used. So 1 is correct and 3 is correct and 2 is incorrect. The next one. Is it possible to produce algal? It is possible to produce algal based biofuels. Okay, but what is or are the likely limitation of developing countries in promoting this industry? So we want to produce biofuel. There is agriculture, there's sugarcane crops that have been used, cassava has been used, there's biofuel policy also for that. Crops have been used, damaged crops have also been used, but then there's always a debate between whether we want to give food security to the country or we want to promote the biofuel. So there's a debate about it. Therefore, what has happened that we can also produce biofuel using algae. If you produce biofuel using algae, you need some technology. So it is possible to produce, but what are the limitations for developing countries? Production of algal based biofuels is possible in seas only and not on the continents. That's one statement. The setting up and engineering the algal based biofuel production requires high level of expertise and technology until the construction is complete. The third, economically viable production necessitates the setting up of large scale facilities which may raise ecological and social concern. Okay, so will it require large scale facilities which may raise social and ecological concern? It is possible only on seas? No, it is not possible only on the seas. It is also possible on the continent. So this goes eliminated. Second and third, obviously both of them are limitations. So answer is what? The answer is B. Biofuel are hydrofuel that are produced in a short period of time using algae. Statement 1 is incorrect because it can be initiated on land as well as saline water as well as wastewater. Both 2 and 3 are correct. So the answer was what? The answer was B then. Okay. Okay. Next question that we have is about which of the following completely describes the aim of Green India Mission? Okay, you are talking about which of the following is talking about Green India Mission. We want to green the India. By how? By afforestation. How much production, the part of the country should be under forest? About 33% of the country should be under forest. That is what it is. Let's talk about Green India Mission. Incorporating environmental benefits and cost into the union and state budgets, thereby implementing the green accounting. Okay. Launching the Green India Revolution to enhance the agriculture output so as to ensure food security to one and all in future. Okay. Restoring and enhancing the forest cover and responding to climate change by combination of adaptation and mitigation measures. What is the answer? Basically, Green India Mission is about the forest. It is not about agriculture. It is not about environmental accounting. The answer is C, 3 only. The Green India Mission is one of the mission under National Action Plan for Climate Change. There is National Action Plan for the Climate Change that is there. It want to restore the dwindling forest cover. So statement 1 and 2 are not correct. It is only the statement 3. About 33% of the country should be under forest. That is the mission that we have. Next, in the cities of the country, which among the following atmospheric gases are normally considered in calculating the value of air quality index? So air quality index, there are some gases that are used for calculating the pollution. CO2 is not used. Okay, CO2 is something that is there present in the atmosphere, so you don't calculate it for this. You use carbon monoxide, you need sulfur dioxide, there's also methane that is also used. So you have these. The answer is what? The answer is 2, 3 and 4. 2, 3 and 4. Okay, methane is also not used. The answer is B, 2, 3 and 4. Carbon dioxide is not considered. These are the indicators. There are about 6, 7 indicators. You have ozone, you have PM 2.5, you have PM 10, you have carbon monoxide, you have SO2, you have NO2, NH3 and lead. 8 indicators are there for that are used by air quality index. CO2 is not one of them. On the basis of air quality index, you decide what is the air quality of a city, whether it is good, whether it is severe, whether it is polluted. It is something that we have to decide. Okay, moving on to the next one. Which of the following are the most important pollutant released by steel industry in India? Steel industries releases what all pollutant? Oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. What are the pollutants that are released? The pollutants that are released are all four. All four are released: CO2, CO, and you have sulfur dioxides, you have NOx. These are being released by the, and even PM 2.5, PM 10 solid waste is also released by the steel industry. Okay, India is the second largest crude steel producer in the world, so we should know about these pollutants. The next one that we have, there is some common concerns regarding the nanoparticles of some chemical elements that are used in the industry for the manufacture of various products. So some nanoparticles are used. So there's some concerns there. What are the concerns? Nanoparticles, they can accumulate in the environment and contaminate the water and soil. They can enter the food chain and they can trigger the production of the free radicals. The answer is what? All of the above is the answer. Nanoparticles are tiny particles. They're not filtered. They can enter the aquatic ecosystem. They can enter the food chain. They can also produce free radicals, which are harmful radicals in our body, and they can also contaminate water and the soil. So answer is all of the above. Okay, they are used in the production of eyeglasses, coating for walls, sunscreens, fabrics, windows. They are used at many places. Okay, so this is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, the next one that we have is brominated flame retardants are used in many household products like mattresses and upholstery. So brominated flame retardants are used. Okay, BFR. They are used in mattresses and upholstery. Which of the following is some concern about the use? They are highly resistant to the degradation in environment. They are able to accumulate in humans and animals. What is the answer? The answer is both. BFR are basically mixture of man-made chemicals. They are used in many products like bed mattresses, upholstery. They do not easily degrade. They are not easily degradable. They are highly resistant to degradation, and obviously because they are resistant to degradation, there is bioaccumulation, there is biomagnification that actually takes place. They are toxic to both human and the environment. So what is the answer? The answer is both 1 and 2. Fine. So the next topic that we have is climate change. In this climate change, let's get started. So what do we have? In the context of which of the following do some scientists suggest the use of cirrus cloud thinning technique and the injection of the sulfate aerosols in the stratosphere? So I'm injecting the sulfate aerosols, and also I'm trying to cool the cloud. Creation of artificial rain, frequency and the intensity of the cyclones, reducing the adverse effect of solar wind on the earth, or reducing the global warming. So this is about reducing the global warming. There have been a lot of techniques that have been done to reduce the global warming. This is called as geoengineering method, basically scientific method, climatic intervention to reduce the modification of Earth's climate system with the intention to reduce global warming. So when you inject sulfate aerosol, it possibly cools the planet. If I talk about cirrus clouds, it is more about the white clouds and it is composed of icy crystals. So that also is talking about reduction of the global warming. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statement. The agriculture soils releases NOx into the environment. The cattle releases ammonia in the environment. The poultry industry releases reactive nitrogenous compound in the environment. Consider the following statement. Which of the following them are true? Okay. Yes, they will release NOx. Yes, that releases ammonia. Poultry industry also releases reactive nitrogenous compound. So that is also true. All of them above are true. So lot of pollutants, greenhouse gases come from the agriculture sector. This was also a report that was there in 2017. Therefore, the question was there. It is the single largest source of N2O. Cattle also accounts for ammonia production, and poultry also records reactive nitrogenous compounds. Moving on to the next one. In the context of proposal to the use of hydrogen enriched CNG, okay, we are talking about that there's proposal to the use of hydrogen enriched CNG. So CNG, that too enriched with hydrogen, which is used as a fuel, okay. So natural gas and hydrogen combined together is being used as a fuel for the buses in the public transport. Consider the following statement. The main advantage of the use of HCNG is the elimination of carbon monoxide. Okay, it is trying to reduce the CO compound. Second, it is also as a fuel reduces the carbon dioxide and hydrocarbon emission. So it is trying to reduce CO2. It is trying to reduce hydrocarbon emission. The next one that we have is hydrogen can add up to 1/5 of volume can be blended with CNG as fuel for the buses. So how much amount is can be used? So basically what is trying to do? It is trying to eliminate CO. It is trying to reduce CO2 and HC. So CO, CO2, hydrogen, hydrocarbon. The next is it is trying to give 1/5 of the volume can be blended with CNG as a fuel for the buses. Okay, can you reduce the 1/5? Can you use that? Okay, by 1/5 by the volume. When can it can be blended? Then HCNG makes up the fuel less expensive than CNG. So this is less expensive. Which of the following above is or are correct? So the main thing, can it try to reduce? Can it try to reduce the gases? Yes, it can reduce the gases. But can it eliminate the gas? Can there be elimination of CO? This is a wrong statement. So second is correct, but the elimination cannot be there. Okay. The third one, hydrogen up to 1/5 by the volume can be blended with CNG as fuel for buses. That is also true. So the answer is what? The answer is, can it be less expensive than CNG? No. See, it will require new technology. So obviously it has to be costly. So answer is what? The answer is 1 is incorrect, 2 is correct, 4 is also incorrect, 3 is correct. What is HCNG? It is basically the hydrogen that is blended with the natural gases. It is produced by mixing hydrogen with CNG. It will try to reduce the CO by 70%. It will also reduce NO. It will also reduce the CO2. So it cannot eliminate, okay, but it can reduce it. You can blend up to the hydrogen concentration. Ideal is up to 20%. So about 1/4, 1/5 is the ideal one. The current cost of hydrogen is more than the cost of natural gas, so it is more costly. So the answer is 1 is incorrect, 2 and 3 are correct, 4 is incorrect. Okay. The next one, in the context of mitigating the impending global warming due to anthropogenic emission of the carbon dioxide. Okay. We want to mitigate this global warming. We want to reduce global warming. We want to reduce the CO2. Which of the following can be considered as potential site for carbon sequestration? 1. Where can you use the carbon and where can you store it? Where can you use the carbon and where can you store it? Abundant and economic coal seams, okay. Depletion of oil and gas reserves, okay. Subterranean deep saline formation. Wherein can I use it? Can I use it in second? Definitely you can use it second. That is so definitely there. So at least I would need 2 in my answer. So can I use in this one? Abundant coal seams, yes. Can I use in depleted oil gas reserves? Yes. They will increase the oil and gas recovery. If you put carbon dioxide in oil and gas seams that are depleted, it can increase some recovery there. Subterranean deep saline formation, yes, you can also use it there. So answer is all of the above. 1 is correct, 2 is correct, and 3 is also correct. What is carbon sequestration? The process of capturing the carbon dioxide and storing it. So it is about capturing and storage of the CO2 to reduce the global warming. Okay, you can capture it from air, you can put it in industry, you can store it in the permanent ground. So that is there. Where can you use it? In the subterranean oil and gas seams, in the coal seams, in the various other places. So that is about all 3 there. The next one, the term intended nationally determined contribution, INDC. This is related to climate change. You all understand about this term. This is about the pledges that the country take. These are the voluntary pledges. So these are the pledges by the European country to rehabilitate refugees. No. These are the plan of action outlined by the countries of the world to combat climate change. Yes. This is the capital contributed by the member nation in the establishment of AIIB. No. The plan of action outlined by the countries of the world regarding the SDG. No. This is more about climate change. We know that INDC, India also has, with respect to INDC, India also has taken some commitments. We also have Panchamrit targets there. So that is about your intended. What do we intend? Nation, a country, determined contribution. What will I contribute? What will a country contribute for what? For reducing the climate change, in reducing the greenhouse gases under the UNFCCC. Okay, this is about Paris Agreement. This is we are trying to reduce the greenhouse gases so as to control the temperature to less than 2 degrees Celsius. I'm so sorry. Global greenhouse gas protocol. The greenhouse gas protocol. As you can understand, there's some protocol which talks about greenhouse gas. So what is it? It is an international accounting tool for the government and business leaders to understand. I'm so sorry. It is an international accounting tool for the government and business leaders to understand and quantify and manage the greenhouse gas emission. Okay. It is an initiative of the UN to offer the financial incentives to developing countries to reduce greenhouse gas emission and to adapt the eco-friendly practices. Okay. It is an intergovernmental agreement ratified by all the member countries of the United Nations to reduce the greenhouse gas emission to a specified level by 2022. Okay. So basically, is it a tool? Accounting tool? One. Is it a initiative to give finances? Okay. Is it a tool by the member nation to reduce the greenhouse gases emission? Okay. It is one of the multilateral READ Plus initiative hosted by the World Bank. So is it by World Bank? Is it basically greenhouse gas protocol is an accounting tool. Every country has some targets to reduce the greenhouse gases. Has the countries reduced it? Have they accounted for it? What is the methods they have done? So it is like a standard tool, and that is trying to measure the greenhouse gases emission, okay, from the private change, public sectors. Okay, so that is about the greenhouse gas protocol, when the World Resource Institute and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development have recognized is an accounting tool, okay, for reducing it. So that's about it. The next one, the scientific view is that the increase in the global temperature should not. The next question. So it is, what was the answer? The answer was A there. It is an accounting tool wherein you want to, for the governments and business to understand and quantify and manage greenhouse gases emission. Okay. Now moving on. The next question. The scientific view is that the increase in the global temperature should not exceed 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. If the global temperature increases beyond 3 degrees Celsius, if it increases beyond 3 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level, what can it be the possible impact or the impacts on the world? First, what can be the impact? We want to reduce the global warming to less than, the temperature should not exceed 2 degrees Celsius, okay, above the pre-industrial level. But if it increases by 3 degrees Celsius, what can happen? The terrestrial biosphere tends towards a net carbon source, okay. The widespread coral mortality will occur, okay. All the global wetlands will permanently disappear, fine. 3 is an overstatement. The cultivation of cereals will not be possible anywhere in the world. That is also overstatement. The answer should be 1 and 2. See, it will permanently disappear. There will not be possible at any place in the world. That is too much to a statement to make. So 1 is correct, 2 is correct, but 3 and 4 are, they are not correct because it was too often overstatement. So moving on to the next topic that we have. The next topic. So this completes one part that is there. The next topic is environmental laws, conventions and policies. Okay. So environmental laws, convention and policies. Look at the question. Which one of the following have been constituted under Environment Protection Act of 1986? So Environment Protection Act of 1986, it's a statutory body. Which of the following have been established under it? The Central Water Commission, the Central Groundwater Board, the Central Groundwater Authority, the National Water Development Agency. The answer is Central Groundwater Authority. It is a statutory body. It has been established under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. It seems to regulate the development of the groundwater resources in the country. What does the Central Groundwater Authority do? It takes care of the groundwater in the country. So what all is the management, development, usage of the groundwater in the country, that also it takes into consideration. The Environment Protection Act of 1986 was basically established in the aftermath of the Bhopal gas tragedy for protecting the environment. This is the why was EPA established? Why was EPA enacted in 1986? It was established in 1986 because post 1984 there was an incident, that is Bhopal gas tragedy, so it was established there. Okay, so this will authorize the government to control pollution from all the sources. Okay, moving on to the next one. With reference to the Indian laws about the wild protection, consider the following statement. So here the answer is Central Groundwater Authority. This is a statutory body established under Environment Protection Act. With reference to the Indian laws about wildlife protection, consider the following statement. So now the topic is about the legislation, acts. So it will talk about the act. Wildlife are the sole property of the government. Okay, when a wildlife is declared protected, such animal is entitled for equal protection whether it is found in the protected areas or outside. When a wildlife is declared protected, such animal is entitled for equal protection whether it is found in the protected areas or outside. Okay, even if the tiger is found outside, it will be protected. That is what it says. The apprehension of the protected wild animal becoming a danger to human life is sufficient ground for its capture or killing. Which of the following is or are correct? Which of the following is or are correct? Only 1 and 2 are correct. This is not a correct statement because it is just the sufficient ground that it is a danger to human life. An animal that is a danger to human life, is it sufficient to capture it and kill it? No, it is not a sufficient ground. It has to be declared vermin. There's an entire process. There's chief wildlife warden that is involved. So answer is only 1 and 2. Okay, so as per section 39 of Wildlife Protection Act, the animals, wild animals shall be the property of state government, whereas the animals hunted in the sanctuary shall be the property of the central government. Okay, so it is the property of the central government or the state government. The laws governing the subject does not discriminate between the wild animal found in the protected areas or outside. Statement 3 is incorrect. Mere apprehension of fear that a wild animal is a danger is not a ground for capturing it. Okay, as per Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, an animal can become danger to human life, or if it is diseased or disabled beyond recovery. Okay, only when it is deceased. Okay, only when it is deceased and beyond recovery. Okay, that is one of the conditions. Only if the animal can become a danger to human life. Okay, just a suspicion is not there, and that has to be also given by a competent authority, that is your chief wildlife warden of the state. So statement 3 is incorrect. Moving on to the next one. If a particular plant species is, this is basically 2020. Now the schedules have also changed. Now there are no 6 schedules in the Wildlife Protection Act. So this is not important for the examination because the entire act has changed. So we'll not keep it like that. The entire act has changed, so we'll not do that. The new act has come. We teach the new acts. We'll come up with the videos on that also. Steel slag can be the material for which of the following? Okay, construction of base road. So we have, there is a steel slag. When there's steel industry, there is there is a waste product, steel slag, that is there. So steel slag can be used in what all? Industry. It can be used for the construction of base road, for the improvement of agriculture soil, for the production of cement. What is the answer? The answer is all of them. Steel slag can be used in the construction of road, for the production of cement, and also as a material for in the agriculture sector. So steel slag is a byproduct of steel making that is produced during the separation of molten steam from the impurities. The slag is a complex solution of silicates and oxides that solidifies upon cooling. So what is it? It is a base material for the road. It is also the base. It is also called as, you can also use it for the construction of Portland slag cement. Okay, steel slag can also be used in the agriculture sector to correct the soil acidity. So all of the above is the answer. Next one, moving on. In the rural road construction, the use of which of the following is preferred for ensuring environmental sustainability or to reduce the carbon footprint? So you are constructing road, you are trying to use some byproducts, some raw material, and you want to use it so as to reduce the carbon footprint. Copper slag, copper mist cold mix asphalt technology, geotextiles, hot mix asphalt technologies, or the Portland cement. Okay, you want to do what? You want to reduce the carbon footprint. Okay, so what is the answer for this? The answer for this is A, that you will use copper slag, cold mix asphalt technology, and the geotextile. Geotextile has to be there. Okay, so we could have eliminated C and D like this. So 3 would definitely be there, and 2 and 3 would have definitely be there. Either the answer is hot mix asphalt technology or the copper slag. So obviously copper sulfur is better. Asphalt is dumber. Hot mix, if you heat it, if you mix it, there's definitely some element of the greenhouse gases, carbon footprint that is there. So option 1 is correct. Copper slag is a byproduct obtained during the melting and the refining of the copper. Okay. Option 2, cold mix asphalt is producing by mixed unheated minerals aggregate with bitumen. Okay, so you will mix unheated mineral aggregate with bitumen. It is suitable for construction of light to medium trafficked road. Okay, it is environment friendly, so we use it. Then you have option 3 is also correct, which is about the geotextile. There's also one Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, that talks about use of geotextile. Hot mix asphalt is containing stone, sand, gravel, and together by asphalt cement. It is a product of crude oil. It leads to pollution as these plants emit a lot amount of greenhouse gas. And Portland cement also contributes to the carbon dioxide. So answer 4 and 5 are incorrect, whereas 1, 2, 3 are correct. So the answer is A. Okay. Now, if I talk about the extended producer's responsibility, once the producer has produced something, the producer's responsibility does not get over. See, suppose I am into production of plastics. So I have produced, and I have produced, and this is a product. Now you as a consumer has taken this product. So does my responsibility gets over? No. This is a concept of extended producer's responsibility. The concept of extended producer responsibility says that the producer's responsibility does not get over even if the product has been sold out. It is the duty of the producer to make sure that it is collected and disposed of in a nice manner. The consumers, they also have some responsibility, but what does the topic of extended producer responsibility mean, and why was it introduced, and which rules it introduced, whether it was introduced in biomedical waste, whether it was introduced in recycled plastic waste, whether it was introduced in e-waste, whether it was introduced in food safety and standard regulation. The answer is it was introduced in e-waste. Okay, e-waste management rules and handling rules of 2011 first recognized the producer's liability for recycling and reducing the e-waste in the country. Okay, so it is the producer's responsibility to see that there is no harm that is done to the environment. It is basically an approach under which the producers have a significant responsibility for what? For physical, financial, and the treatment of the disposal of the post-consumer products. So the once the consumer has produced it, it is still the responsibility of the producer. Okay, so this is it was first given in the e-waste. Now moving on. There is this law that the question talks about. Consider the following statement. The first statement: as per the law, the compensatory afforestation fund management planning and authority exists at both national and state level. Second, people's participation is mandatory in compensatory afforestation programs carried out under the Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act 2016. Okay, so what is the answer? The answer is C. Sorry, this answer is A. The CAMPA, basically it is talking about Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act 2016. It is basic. This act provides an institutional level for compensatory afforestation. Firstly, what is compensatory afforestation? If you cut the tree at one place, you have to provide that number of trees or that ecosystem at some other place. That is called as compensatory afforestation. So compensatory afforestation is provided at appropriate institutional mechanism. They will provide, some body has to be there so as to be seen ki ye kaam ho raha hai ki nahi, whether the work is being done or not. So compensatory afforestation is the institutional bodies exist at the national level as well as at the state level. That is called as Compensatory Afforestation Fund and Planning Authority. So it is at the state and the national level. There is no mention of people's participation in the act. in compensatory afforestation, people should participate, but are they mentioned in the act? No, it is not mentioned in the act. So answer is what? Only one is correct. Moving on to the next one. The Environment Protection Act of 1986 empowers the government of India to consider the following statements. You have to see what does the Environment Protection Act of 1986 empower. So it will empower the state. It will empower the government of India. What does it? How does it empower the government of India? One, to state the requirement of public participation in the process of environment protection and the procedure and manner in which it is sought. Second, lay down the standards. Lay down the standards for emission and discharge of the environmental pollutants at various sources. So, what does EPA? How does EPA give authority? How does EPA give authority to the government? Can the government mention that whether there is a requirement of public participation or not? And if it is a requirement of the public participation, how will the people participate? Yes, it can say that. Can it lay down the standard for the emission of the pollution from various level? Is it asking not correct? Is it that is correct? So what does the EPA says? The EPA says that the government can provide, but will it explicitly provide? It does not explicitly provide the detailed provisions for public participation. So it can tell a certain mechanism indirectly to promote public involvement, but it will not state explicitly. Environment Protection Act basically is an umbrella body. It tells that how to reduce pollution. So explicit public participation is not exactly mentioned. So one is incorrect. Can it lay the standards for the discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources? Yes. So answer is what? The answer is B here. Okay. This was 2016 rules. So what is 2016 rules? It says that as per the solid waste management rules 2016 in India, which of the following statement is correct? So there are rules 2016. What does it says? Waste generators have to segregate waste into 5 categories. 1. The rules are applicable to be notified to notified urban local body, notified towns and all the industrial township only. The rules provide for the exact and elaborate criteria for the identification of sites for landfills and waste processing facilities. Okay. Okay, so is it applicable to waste, solid waste? Is it applicable to urban areas only? That is something that we'll have to see. Okay. It is mandatory as per the waste generator that the waste generated in one district cannot be moved into the other district. Now, answer is what? The rules basically will provide for the sites, the criteria for identification of the sites. 2016 rules. What is that? Do you want to convert the waste into energy? You want to use that? What is the landfill? So A is incorrect because now the waste has to be generated in more than in not just 5 streams, but in the 3 streams: biodegradable, dry, biodegradable waste. We've seen waste. There are 3 categories. You have a biodegradable waste, that is called the wet waste. You have a dry waste, that is plastic waste, paper waste, metal waste, wood waste, and domestic hazardous waste. So 3 categories: domestic hazardous waste, biodegradable waste, and the third one is the dry waste. So wet and dry. Dry basically talks about plastic, steels, paper, and hazardous is about napkins, diapers, mosquito repellents. So it is not 5 category, it is 3 category. Under solid waste management rules, will it be applicable only to the urban local bodies? No, it will have to also be applicable to the village areas. Okay, so it is not applicable to those only. Then as per the rules, the landfills and the process, yes, that is there. Then the fourth one was that you cannot move from one district to other. No, basically as per, it was not mandatory. It is not mandatory that you cannot move it from one district to other. Okay. So the next question is, how is the National Green Tribunal different from the Central Pollution Control Board? The first statement: NGT has been established by an act, whereas CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, has been created by an executive order of the government. Okay, the NGT provides for the environmental justice and helps to reduce the burden of litigation in the higher courts, whereas the CPCB promotes the cleanliness of stream and wells and aims to improve the quality of air in the country. So which of the following is correct? First statement is not correct, because NGT has been definitely established by an act. Yes, NGT has been established by an act, but CPCB has also been established by the Environment Protection Act. So this is also a statutory body. And the second statement is correct, that National Green Tribunal, it's a tribunal, it wants to reduce the burden of the court cases on the high court. Therefore it's a tribunal, and it is trying to go for environmental justice, and CPCB is trying to reduce the pollution there. So yes, the Central Pollution Control Board and NGT was established by NGT Act. It addresses the civil disputes, and therefore it's a tribunal. It is basically talking about the enforcement of the legal rights. If I talk about CPCB, so this was NGT. If I talk about CPCB, it was established under the water. It was established under Water Protection and the Control of Pollution Act, and it is trying to reduce the pollution. Okay, it has also got power under the Air Act. It is works under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So one is incorrect, two is correct. Okay, moving on to the third one, with reference to the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture. So there was an alliance which was talking about that we will go for climate smart agriculture. You understand the meaning of alliance, you understand the meaning of climate smart agriculture. Which of the following is or are correct? The GACA is an outcome of the climate summit held in Paris in 2015. Okay, the membership of GACA does not create any binding obligation. Fine. India has been instrumental in creation of the GACA. The answer that you have is only 3 is actually correct. Okay, it was not basically an outcome of the climate alliance or climate summit in Paris. And let's see about what is the role of India. So the climate alliance, the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture, is a voluntary initiative. You should know about it. It's a voluntary initiative. It's a multi-stakeholder platform on climate smart agriculture. It is aiming to improve the food security, nourishment, resilience, वगैरह. It has been established by FAO, and it has been established by climate smart agriculture. Okay, so climate smart agriculture this concept was actually introduced by FAO. It was established at the Hague Conference in 2010. Moving on to the next one that we have is statement 2. The statement 2 is incorrect. The membership does not has any binding obligation in its participants, and India is a signatory but has no instrumental role. India has signed it but has no instrumental role in creation of GACA. Okay, so there's no binding obligation. India has not played an important role in creation, but is India a member? Yes, India is a member. Fine. And it has been established by FAO at the Hague Summit. Moving on to the next one. In the Wildlife Protection Act has changed, so we'll not go for it. The act has completely changed. Again, the Wildlife Protection Act has completely changed, so we'll not go for this. Okay, this was about the UNFCCC meeting in Paris. Okay, what took place in Paris. So with reference to the agreement at the UNFCCC meeting in Paris in 2015, which of the following statement are correct? The agreement was signed by all the members of UN, and it will go into effect. This is also very, very early, right? What happened in 2015, but still it will see. It was signed by all the members of UN, and it will go to effect in 2017. The agreement aims to limit the greenhouse gases so as to rise the average global temperature by the end of the century does not exceed 2 degrees Celsius or even 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. The third one is developed countries acknowledged their historical responsibility in global warming and committed to donate $1,000 billion per year. It was not 1,000 billion. Okay, so 3 is definitely wrong. The answer is only 2. The answer is B here. Okay, so the answer is B. It's a very early one, so we'll skip it, but at least in case you just want to know that it entered into force in 2016. It was talking about NDC. It was about $100 billion then. So that was the first one is incorrect. The third one is incorrect. Only second was correct. Okay, the next one. Consider the following statement. The Sustainable Development Goal were first proposed in 1972 in a global think tank called as the Club of Rome. The SDG have to be achieved by 2030. Which of the following statements are correct? The B1 is correct. SDG basically was mentioned in the it was established by UN in 2015. So it was from 15 to 2030. Therefore, the second statement is correct. Club of Rome was established, but it was not related to only sustainable development goal. There was a report that it published called as the limits to growth. So it was not mentioning about the SDG per se. The concept was there, but there was no mention, explicit mention of SDG. So one is definitely incorrect. It did not actually proposed SDG. Fine. And SDG has been there from 2015 to 2030. So the statement 2 is correct. 1 is incorrect, 2 is correct. Now, okay, this is about the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. It aims to promote effective action through innovative national programs and to supportive international partnership. It is aimed to promote effective action through innovative national programs and supportive international partnership. Okay, the special focus is on South Asia and North Africa, and its secretariat facilitates the allocation of major portion of the financial resources to this region. It is committed to a bottom-up approach, encouraging the participation of local population in the combating of the desertification. What is this convention about? United Nations Convention. So there's a convention by United Nations for what? To combat desertification. So if in case you want to combat desertification, there is a particular convention that is called as United Nations Convention to combat desertification. Obviously, it will go for a national program. It will have international partnership. Okay. The second one, it has a special focus on Middle East and North Africa, MENA. Okay, so not exactly South Asia, and it has focus on many other regions also. So second is wrong. It is a bottom-up approach. Yes, it has a bottom-up approach. The answer is what? The answer is C, 1 and 3. Okay, so 1 is correct. The convention specifically addresses arid and semi-arid areas and not only towards South and South Asia. So not only this, but arid and semi-humid regions and semi-arid region it is focusing upon. Moving on to the next one, the third one is definitely correct. It is talking about bottom-up approach, local participation there. Now the next one, consider the following pairs. The terms sometimes seen in the news and it is related to what? Convention. So basically it's like this. It's like a chart. What is the term and what is the convention it is talking about? The term one, that is Annex 1. Annex 1, you also have CER and you also have CDM. Annex 1 countries, that is about Cartagena Protocol. CER is about Nagoya Protocol. CDM is about Kyoto Protocol. Okay, Clean Development Mechanism. Okay, certified emission reduction and Annex 1 countries, that is in terms of the Cartagena Protocol. Which of the following is or are correct? Only the third one is actually correct, that is the Clean Development Mechanism is correct. Basically, Cartagena Protocol talks about that is talking about reduction of the yes, it is Cartagena Protocol talks about related to the biodiversity and other things. So first, the certified emission reduction is only correct. Cartagena Protocol talks about the living modified organisms. Okay, it is talking about this one. So one is not correct. Annex 1 countries is also mentioned in Kyoto Protocol. Pair 2 is also not correct because certified emission reduction is also about Kyoto Protocol and the clean development mechanism is also about the Kyoto Protocol. So all of them are related to Kyoto Protocol. CDM, CER and even Annex 1 and Annex 2 countries are related to this. If I talk about Cartagena Protocol, it is talking about protection of biodiversity for the conservation of the biodiversity, and if there is some genetic organism that is there, it can have an effect on the biodiversity, so it is trying to regulate that, the concept of living modified organism. So the third one, that is CDM, we definitely know that we want to have some mechanism which is basically the main source of income for the adaptation fund. So the main source of income for the adaptation fund, that is called as clean development mechanism. Moving on to the next one, with reference to an initiative called as TEEB, which of the following statement is or are correct? So there is a mechanism that is called as the Economics of Ecosystem and Biodiversity. What is it? Is it an initiative hosted by UNEP, IMF and World Economic Forum? Okay, it is a global initiative that focuses on drawing attention to the economic benefits of the biodiversity. Okay, it presents an approach that helps in decision makers recognize, demonstrate and capture the value of ecosystem and biodiversity. The answer here is 2 and 3. It is basically, it will have World Economic Forum, IMF. No, it is the Economics of Ecosystem and Biodiversity, wherein we are trying to have this German watch as well as the European Commission. So European Commission is there, IMF is not there, World is not there. What is the objective of TEEP? Basically to account for the rising cost associated with the biodiversity loss and also for the ecosystem environment degradation. So you have to take into consideration that what is the environmental cost because of this, because of our economic development model that we are pursuing. So statement 1 is not correct. It has been the second phase is hosted by UNEP, but IMF, World Bank is not there. The second statement is correct. The third statement is also correct, that you want to draw attention to the economics benefits of biodiversity, and it will help the decision maker capture the value of ecosystem and biodiversity. 2 and 3 are definitely correct. The next one, which of the following systems is or are correct? The proper design and effective implementation of UN READ Plus program significantly contribute to. So it is asking about the READ Plus program. What are they trying to do? Protection of biodiversity, resilience of forest ecosystem, poverty reduction. Okay, is it trying to reduce? Is it trying to produce biodiversity? Is it trying to increase the resilience of the forest ecosystem? Is it trying to reduce the poverty? Obviously, yes. All three of them are there. Reducing emission from deforestation. What is READ? Reducing emission for deforestation and forest degradation. Okay, so it is basically talking about the incentives for the developing country to reduce the emissions. We want to see that the developing countries can reduce emissions, and also the other countries can reduce emission from afforestation. So because if you go for afforestation, it will protect the biodiversity, it will also help in resilience of the forest ecosystem. So all of them above are correct. Agenda 21. Consider the following question about the Agenda 21 sometimes seen in the news. Consider the following statement. So it is talking about one very simple topic, Agenda 21, that was there. What is it? It's a global action for sustainable development. It is originated in the World Summit on Sustainable Second one, it is originated in the World Summit on the Sustainable Development held in Johannesburg in 2002. The answer is what? The answer is this one. It is talking about sustainable development. 21 stands for 21st century. In the 21st century, there is this Agenda 21, which is talking about how to improve the sustainable development. So Agenda 21 is there. It's a comprehensive action plan for sustainable development, which is adopted at United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, and not at the UN. So it was established at UNCED and not here. World Summit on Sustainable Development in 2002. No, it was quite early. It was as early as 1992. So it was 10 years early. So one is definitely correct. That's a plan of action that has to be taken at global, national and local level by the United Nations system, and it is talking about conservation of biodiversity. It was established in 1992 and not in 2002. Okay, so this one. Moving on to the next one. Which of the following associated with the issue of phasing of ozone depleting substance? So basically O3. For O3 you have what? Vienna Convention and you have Montreal Protocol. So for ozone depletion you have Montreal Protocol and Vienna Convention. So it is a convention that is talking about the protection of the ozone layer, Vienna Convention, and you have Montreal Protocol that talks about the binding, basically phasing down the ozone. Okay, so answer was what? Answer was B there. Moving on to the next one. What is Rio plus 20 conference? Okay, so Rio was 1992. What is happening in 2000? Oh, I'm so sorry, Rio. Rio was 1972 and plus 20 is 1992. So what is Rio Plus? It is a United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development. It is what is Rio? Rio is about sustainable development. It is a conference of intergovernmental planning and climate change. It is about convention on biodiversity. It is a convention of the sustainable development. Rio is about what? Rio is about sustainable development. Okay, so you have Rio Summit in 1992 and then there was plus 20 that is there in 2012. So this is about your Rio that is taking place. In 1972, actually in 1972, there was this Club of Rome. Then in 1992, there was this Rio. And then in 2012, there was this Rio plus 20. Okay. And what is Rio 10? Rio 10 is 2002. Rio plus 10. So Rio plus 20 is about United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development that is taking place in 2012, right? So Rio is about Rio plus 20 है ना, तो 12 की बात हो रही है. It is also about sustainable development, how to reduce poverty, how to go for environmental protection. Okay. The next one, genetic engineering appraisal committee, it was constituted under. It is talking about genetic engineering appraisal committee. This was about the food safety and this was about the Environment Protection Act of 1986. The Environment Protection Act of 1986 talks about this, the Genetic Engineering and Appraisal Committee. It is responsible for what is the hazardous microorganism doing. So answer is what? The answer is about C. That is Environment Protection Act of 1986. The next one, which of the following are the significance of practical approach to sugarcane initiative? We've already covered the system of rice intensification. Now we are moving on to the sustainable sugarcane initiative. The seed cost is very low as compared to the conventional method of cultivation. Drip irrigation can be practiced effectively in this. There's no application of chemical or inorganic fertilizers at all in this. Okay, that's an overstatement. The scope of intercropping is more in compared to the conventional method. So the answer has to be kya? 1, 2 and 4. 3 is too of a overstatement. The answer has to be the sustainable sugarcane initiative has been given by ICRISAT, that is your International Crops Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics, and also the Worldwide Fund for Nature. So both of them, they are talking about cultivating sugarcane in a sustainable manner. You want to cultivate sugarcane in a sustainable manner. So one is correct. SSI is an initiative that is talking about innovative initiative that is talking about using less seeds, raising seeds in the nursery. You're talking about new planting methods. Statement 2 and 4 is also correct, that it is talking about seed spacing, better water nourishment, etc. Statement 3 is incorrect. Statement 3 is incorrect because it is not talking about complete elimination of the fertilizers. So you can reduce fertilizers but not completely eliminate it. Moving on to the next one, consider the following international agreement. The International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, the United Nations Convention for the Desertification, and the fourth one is World Heritage Convention. Which of the following has a bearing on biodiversity? Obviously, all of them have a bearing on biodiversity. The first one, as the name says, that the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. This is basically the effort. It was adopted by FAO. So obviously it will conserve biodiversity. The next one, that is UNCCD. It also talks about the combating of the problems that are related to the biodiversity. So you want to protect the biodiversity there. So option 2 is also correct. If I talk about option 3, the World Heritage Convention of 1972 of UNESCO, that also is also talking about the conservation of the natural heritage as well as cultural heritage. So you want to conserve both the cultural as well as natural heritage, and it is talking about the protection of the areas there. So option 3 is also correct. So option 1, option 2 and option 3 are correct. All of them above are there. The next one, consider the following statement regarding the Earth Hour. In 2014, it is an initiative of UNEP plus it is an initiative of UNESCO. It is an initiative of UNEP and UNESCO. It is a movement in which the participants switch off the light for 1 hour in a certain day every year. Okay, it is, that's what the first statement says. I'm not saying whether the first statement is correct or not. It is saying whether it's an initiative of UNEP plus UNESCO, it is Earth, the participant have to switch off the light for 1 hour. It is a movement to raise awareness about the climate change and the need to save the planet. So answer 1 is incorrect. It is not an initiative of UNEP and UNESCO. I was just reading it out for you. Okay, this is an initiative of WWF, Worldwide Fund for Nature. Do we have to switch off the light for 1 hour? Yes. It is talking about the participation to create environmental awareness. That is also true. So 1 is incorrect, 2 and 3 are correct. Hence the answer is C. Montreux's record. The next question is, if a wetland is brought under the Montreux's records, what will happen? If the wetland is brought under Montreux's record, what does that mean? What does it imply? Changes in ecological characters have occurred or are likely to occur as a result of human intervention. 1. The country in which wetland is located should enact a law or prohibit any human activity within the 5 kilometers. No. The survival of wetland depends on the cultural and the traditional practices of the communities in its vicinity. It is given the status of World Heritage Site. No. Montreux's record, if something is put under Montreux's record, it means that the wetland is under threat. There are changes that is happening. So the answer is what? The answer is A. Okay, this is about Ramsar Convention. The Ramsar Convention talks about conservation and the sustainable use of all the wetland. In that Ramsar Convention, it is talking about Montreal's record that pollution and the other human intervention can cause some damage to the wetland. Moving on to the next one that we have is with reference to the conservation organization called as Wetland International. So for the conservation of wetland, there is an international organization that is called as the Wetland International. Which of the following statement is or are correct? It's an intergovernmental organization formed by the countries which are signatories to the Ramsar Convention. Okay, I'm just reading it out for you. It works as at the field level to develop and mobilize knowledge and use the practical experience to advocate for the better policies. Okay, it is basically the answer should be B. It is not under the countries, it is not a part of basically Ramsar, that the countries that are part of Ramsar only they will be a part of Wetland International. It's not like that. It's an NGO. So it's an NGO. So Ramsar does recognize Wetland International as one of the partners for the conservation of wetland, but this is a different story. This is an NGO. No, the member countries, not necessarily of who have been signing Ramsar, will be participant to it. No. Yes, can it talks about the conservation of wetland? Yes, that's the aim of it. So the answer is B there. Moving on to the next one. This is about geography. Harike wetland is at the confluence of Beas and Satluj. Keoladio Ghana National Park is at the confluence of Banas and Chambal. Okay. Koleru Lake is at the confluence of Musi and Krishna. Which of the following is are correct or is or correctly matched? The first statement is definitely correctly matched. Koleru Lake is not at the confluence of Krishna and Musi. That is not correct. Okay, so 3 is wrong. If the 3 is wrong, so the answer is only 1. Okay, so Harike wetland is at the confluence of Satluj and this. Keoladio National Park basically is situated of Gambhir and Banganga River. Gambhir and Banganga River. Koleru wetland is located between Krishna and Godavari, and so this is Godavari, this is Krishna. Between them you have Koleru. Okay, so it is not at the confluence of Krishna and Musi. The third one is definitely incorrect. So the answer was only 1. And this is not Chambal and Banas. I think at the Chambal and Banas, it's Ranthambore National Park. Chambal and Banas, it's the Ranthambore National Park and not Keoladio National Park. Keoladio is little to the west. Ranthambore is little to the east. Okay. With reference to the Global Environment Facility, which of the following statement is or are correct? We are talking about GEF. It is a financial framework for the conservation of biodiversity, United Framework Convention on Climate Change. Okay, it undertakes scientific research on the environmental issues at the global level. Okay, fine. It is an agency of under OECD to facilitate the transfer of technology and the funds. No, it will not. It is not talking about. It is not talking about the transfer of funds from the under the OECD. It's not an agency of OECD, and it is also not a scientific research body. It is a financial mechanism under CBD, under UNFCCC, under Stockholm Convention, under UNCCD, under Minamata Convention. So it's a financial mechanism basically to look for these 6 conventions. Okay, it will look for this 6 convention. It was established in 1992 at Earth Summit. How to understand that how can we tackle the environmental issues that are in front of us. So the answer is what? The answer is only A and not A and B. Moving on to the next one. To the next one that we have is environmental organization. So this is the topic that we have. The organizations part. Okay, we've covered the legislation part, we've covered the climate change part. Now we are moving on to the organization part. So this is a very, very old news, so we will not go for this one because the facts are old. So let's start off with something else. The Partnership for the Action on Green Economy, a PAGE, a UN mechanism to assist the transition towards the greener and more inclusive economies emerged at. So basically it is talking about the PAGE, which is an UN mechanism that will assess countries towards more inclusive economies, that has established when, at what time. Was it established at 2002, the Earth Summit? Was it established at 2012, the Rio Summit? Was it established at 2015 in United Framework Convention for Climate Change? Or was it established at World Sustainable Development Summit in 2016? Basically, it was established in 2012. The page, it was established at 2012 in Rio de Janeiro. At Rio plus 20, this was established. This is something we will even read in the static books. This is more about the static part. The next one, the momentum for change, climate neutral now, is an initiative launched by IPCC, UNEP Secretariat, UNFCCC Secretariat, World Meteorological Organization. The answer is C. UNFCCC Secretariat has launched the momentum for climate change. UNFCCC Secretariat basically introduced a concept that is climate neutral now. Okay, basically in 2015. In that, it talks about this change. Now they have combined the secretariat. In 2016, the secretariat was combined, and then the initiative is known as Momentum for Climate Initiative. Okay, it is talking about how will we achieve climate neutrality. So this was established in UNFCCC, that is climate neutral has now become the momentum for the change. The next one that we have is with reference to the Global Climate Change Alliance. Global Climate Change Alliance, is it a initiative of EU? It promotes first statement, it is an initiative of EU. The second statement, it provides technical and financial support to the targeting developing countries to integrate climate change into their development policies and budgets. Okay. The third, it is coordinated by World Resource Institute and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. What is the answer? The answer is only 1 and 2. It's an initiative. Climate Change Alliance, Global Climate Change Alliance, is an initiative of EU. It is talking about that they will provide technical and financial support to some of the developing countries to integrate the climate change policies in the development policies and budget. Okay, it is not coordinated by World Resource Institute. It is actually this one. It is not coordinated by World Resource Institute. So 1 and 2 are correct, but because it's an initiative of EU, right? So 1 is correct, 2 is correct, but 3 is not correct. Okay. These are not directly related to, both of them are not directly related to Global Climate Change Alliance. Okay. So the next one, the Climate and Clean Air Coalition is to reduce the short-lived climate pollutant, is a unique initiative of G20 groups of countries. Okay, the CCA focuses on methane, black carbon, and hydrofluorocarbon. So both of them, we'll have to see what are they focusing upon and whether it's an initiative of G20 or not. The answer is what? CCAC basically is a voluntary alliance. Okay, Climate and Clean Air Coalition. So one is that the state UNEP, Bangladesh, Canada, Ghana, Mexico, they have launched initiative to handle the short-lived climate pollutant. So does it reduces the short-lived climate pollutant? Yes. But is it an initiative of G20 countries? No. So the answer is what? The answer is only B. What are the short-lived climate pollutants? You have methane, you have black carbon, you have hydrocarbon. Okay. Moving on to the next question. The next question is about, consider the following statement in respect to the trade related analysis of flora and fauna in commerce. Traffic is a bureau of UNEP. Okay. The mission of traffic is to ensure that the trade in the wild, plant and animal is not a threat to the conservation of nature. Okay. Which of the following statement is or are correct? Traffic will ensure that the trade in the wildlife is not a threat to the conservation of nature, but is it an initiative of UNEP? No, it is an initiative of WWF and IUCN. So WWF and IUCN, both of them, they will combine together, and then you will have this traffic. So statement 1 is not correct. Statement 2 is correct. So the answer is what? The answer is only B. The next one that we have is FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization. The Food and Agriculture Organization accords the status of GIAS, the globally important agriculture heritage sites. Like we have the World Heritage Sites, similarly we have agriculture heritage site, and there are some heritage sites which are very important. These are called as globally important agriculture heritage site. They are aiming to conserve the traditional agriculture system. They want to conserve the agriculture system. So which of the following is are correct? It aims to provide modern technology, training in modern farming methods, and financial support to the local communities of the identified GIHS so as to greatly enhance their agriculture productivity. Okay, the to identify and safeguard, second, to identify and safeguard the eco-friendly traditional farm practices and their associated landscape, agriculture, biodiversity, and the local knowledge of the local system of the knowledge system of the local communities. Second, it provides geographical indication status to all the varieties of agriculture produce in such identified GIS. 3 is not correct. So the only thing that is correct is only 2. See, it is talking about globally important agriculture heritage site. So something that has heritage value, something that has traditional value. Why will we try to modernize it? So first is wrong. Is it trying to give a geographical indication? No, geographical indication is entirely different concept and GIH is entirely different concept. So the answer is what? The answer is B only. Okay, that is, yes, the answer is B only. Okay, this is the one. It is trying to safeguard the traditional practices and not give the modernization to it. So one is not correct. It is not trying to introduce the modern biotechnologies or modern technologies. What all are the 3 important, globally important agriculture sites in India? We have 3 important GIHs: Kutunad farming, you have Koraput agriculture, you have Pampor saffron heritage. So from Kashmir you have Pampor saffron, you have Koraput in Odisha, you also have Kutunad farming in Kerala. So 1, 2, 3, all of them, there are 3 in India. So first is not correct, the second is obviously correct, the third one they are not trying to give GI to it. Okay, so GI is not according to this one, so answer was only 2. The next that we have it with reference to the organization known as BirdLife International, consider the following statement. Consider the following statements. It's a global partnership for the conservation organizations. The concept of biodiversity hotspot originated from this organization. Okay. It identifies sites known as the important bird area and the biodiversity area. So basically, if I basically talk about this, the concept of biodiversity hotspot originated from it. This is actually not a correct concept. When we teach biodiversity hotspot, we see that the concept was given by a person called as Norman Muir, and it is not related to, is exactly related to BirdLife International. So it is a partnership for the, it is a partnership of conservation organization, true. It identifies important bird area, that is also true, but second is not correct. Hence the answer is what? Hence the answer is 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. It was introduced by, the hotspot concept was introduced by Norman Muir. So 1 is correct, and 3 is also correct. So the answer is C, and 2 is not correct. Okay, moving on to the next one. With reference to the IUCN and the cities. So with reference to the International Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, and with respect to the cities, that is Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, which of the following statements are correct? IUCN is an organ of United Nations and cities is an international agreement between the countries. First, IUCN runs through field projects around the world to better manage natural environments. Okay, cities is legally binding on the states that have joined it, but if this convention does not take place of the national laws. Is IUCN a organ of UN? No, we've seen in your economy also that it is not an organ of UN. So definitely 1 is not correct. So 2 and 3 are correct. IUCN runs field projects around the world to manage the natural environment. Yes, cities is legally binding, but it does not take place of the national laws. That is also true. Answer is B, because IUCN is an NGO. It is not an organ of the UN. Moving on to the next one. Which of the following statements are correct regarding green climate fund? So we are talking about the GCF. It is intended to assist the developing countries in adaptation and mitigation practices, okay, to counter the climate change. Fine. It is founded under the aegis of UNEP, OECD, ADB, and World Bank. So basically this one is correct. The Green Climate Fund will try to help the developing countries to mitigate and adapt to the climate change, but it is not founded by UNEP. It is not founded by OECD. It is not founded by ADB. It is an initiative under UNFCCC. Okay, so it is not all of these they have established. Moving on to the next statement that we have. Consider the following statements. Animal Welfare Board of India was established under the Environment Protection Act. That is the first statement. Was Animal Welfare Board established then? The National Tiger Conservation Authority is a statutory body. The National Ganga River Basin Authority is chaired by the Prime Minister. So, which of the following statement is or are correct? The answer here is B. 2 and 3 are correct. Animal Welfare Board is not established under Environment Protection Act. It is a statutory body, but it has been established under Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act of 1960. So, Animal Welfare Board is not related to environment protection. It is related to prevention of cruelty to animals. So, it is a legislative body. It's a statutory body. But first is not correct. The NTCA is a statutory body. Yes, the NTCS is a statutory body, and the NGRBA, that is chaired by the it is coming under Environment Protection Act. It is chaired by Prime Minister. Yes. So answer is what? 1 is incorrect, 2 is correct, and 3 is also correct. So answer is B. Moving on to the next one. With reference to the Bombay Natural Heritage Society, consider the following statement. It is an autonomous organization under Ministry of Environment and Forest. It is not related to, it's an NGO. Okay, it is not related to this one. So 1 is wrong. 2 is definitely correct because 2 is given in the option. It strives to conserve nature through action-based research, education, and public awareness. True. Third, it conducts natural trials and campaigns for general public. So answer is C. It is an NGO. It is not coming under any ministry. Okay, so 1 is incorrect. 2 and 3 are correct. Fine. Next one that we have is the protected areas for the biodiversity conservation. The protected areas for the biodiversity conservation. We have the first one, Miyawaki method. We know that it's very famous method. It has been used also for the conservation of many forests. It has also been used in along your Statue of Unity in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, wherein you are trying to grow urban forest at a very fast space. So it is about forestry. It is conservation of the collection of the mini forest in the urban areas. You will grow forest at very, very fast pace. That is your Miyawaki method. It is about urban forestry by turning any regions into mini forest. It is talking about, it is layered pattern. It's a Japanese technology. So that was the answer. The answer was C. Then this is more about your map. I'll just elaborate it. Hokera wetland. It's in Punjab. It's asking Hokera wetland is in Punjab. Renuka wetland is in Himachal Pradesh. Okay. Rudra Sagar lake is in Tripura. Shashtam Kota lake is in Tamil Nadu. That is what the statement is about. It is asking such, which of the following is or are correctly matched. So let us look at Hokera is in Kashmir. It is in Jammu Kashmir. Renuka is in Himachal Pradesh. Rudra Sagar is in Tripura. And Shashtam Kota is in Kerala. So what is wrong? Shashtam Kota is not in Tamil Nadu. Okay. Rudra Sagar is in Tripura. Hokera is in Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir. So this is also right. Renuka is there. Only 2 pairs are correctly matched. So answer is what? B. Okay. Moving on to the next statement. If rainforest and the tropical forest are the lungs of earth, then surely the wetland function as its kidneys. Which of the following functions of wetlands best describe the above statement? So if rainforest are lungs, the wetland are kidneys. What do kidneys do? They purify. They remove the they remove the something that is not needed by the body. Okay, they'll remove the waste and they'll purify things. So what do wetland do? They actually help in absorbing wetland. Okay, the water cycle in wetland provides a surface runoff subsoil. No, this is not about the kidney. They provide the nutrients base. That is not about the kidney. They play an important role in sedimentation. No, that is also not kidney. They will absorb heavy metals and excessive nutrients. That is what the kidney actually does. With reference to India's Desert National Park, which of the following statement is or are correct? It is spread over 2 districts. There is no human habitation inside the park. Okay. It is one of the natural habitats of the Great Indian Bustard. So we are talking about India's Desert National Park. India's Desert National Park is in Rajasthan. It is spread over 2 districts. Can there be no human habitation inside the park? That is too much of an overstatement. Desert National Park is spread over 2 districts, that is Jaisalmer and Barmer, and human activities though are not allowed, but then still villagers would live inside. So that was a too of an overstatement. Then it is a habitat for the Great Indian Bustard, which is also true. That is a dry areas. So 1 and 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect, and 3 is also correct. Then which of the following tiger reserves, among the following tiger reserve, which has the largest area under critical tiger habitat? Okay, so there is this was actually there in news then. So which of them is there? Now what happens is Nagarjun Sri Salim was the answer, but then now this has changed because of the division of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, so that is not actually important for us as of now. Then which of the following protected areas is well known for its conservation of the subspecies of the Indian swamp deer Barasingha that thrives on the hard ground and is exclusively graminous? Barasingha. Okay, it is, where is it found? It is actually seen along the Kanha National Park. So Barasingha. So the answer is here. It is famous for the conservation of Barasingha. There, okay, Kanha National Park. That is one of the answer here. Moving on to the next one, which of the following are most likely places to find musk deer in its natural habitat? Ascot Wildlife Sanctuary, Gangotri National Park, Kishanpur Wildlife Sanctuary, and Manas National Park. Where will you find where you find the musk deer? The answer is Ascot Wildlife Sanctuary and the Gangotri National Park. Here you have your musk deer to safeguard. This is basically a critically endangered there. So to safeguard, there is this Ascot musk deer sanctuary that has been there established. It is also called as the Green Paradise. It is situated in Uttarakhand. Okay, and Gangotri National Park is also again there in Uttarakhand. So both of them are there here in Uttarakhand, and that have been used for the conservation of this. 3 and 4 are not correct because Kishanpur is known for its tiger, leopards, python, very wild animals, but not the musk deer. Okay, Manas National Park is also famous for the conservation of rhinos and not the musk deer. Which of the following national parks lie completely in the temperate zone? The answer that you have for this is your Valley of Flowers National Park. Valley of Flowers National Park is at a higher altitude, and it is lying at a in completely temperate zone. Okay, Manas National Park, Namdafa, Neora Valley, they are not completely in the temperate zone, but it is the Valley of Flowers National Park. It is one of the most unique ecosystem that we have, and they have very important role in many other places. This is one of the question UPSC has asked twice. Which of the following are there in the Agastyamalai Biosphere Reserve? This is given in your NCERT also. In the Agastyamalai Biosphere Reserve. Biosphere Reserve has a lot of wildlife sanctuaries and various other national parks. What are there in Agastyamalai? You have Neyar, Pepara, Shendurne, and Kalakkad Muduntharai in this one. Okay, this one is there in the your Agastyamalai Biosphere Reserve. The answer is A. Given directly in your NCERTs, what all national parks are there in your Agastyamalai Biosphere Reserve. So that is the answer that we have. Moving on to the next one. Which of the following state is Pakhui Wildlife Sanctuary located? The famous Pakhui Wildlife Sanctuary, also known as Pakke Wildlife Sanctuary, is located in Arunachal Pradesh, not Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh. It is also known as Pakhui Tiger Reserve. It is there in Arunachal Pradesh. It is known for its biodiversity. It has hoolock gibbon, it has clouded leopard, it has Asian elephants. That is already there. So answer is Arunachal Pradesh. The next one. From the ecological viewpoint, which of the following assumes a good link between the Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats? You know that Nilgiri Hills actually is a good link between the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. So there are many forests and national parks in the Nilgiri. So Satyamangalam Tiger Reserves, Nallamala Forest. Nallamala Forest is not one of them. This is there only in your Eastern Ghats. So Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve, Nagar Hod, and Sheshachalam Biosphere Reserve. So Sheshachalam is also there in this part, the Eastern Ghats. That is not there. Either the answer is Satyamangalam or the answer is Nagar Hod. The answer here is Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve, which is a better link between Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. Okay, there are other national parks also which are there between the link. You have that is there, but the most appropriate answer here was Satyamangalam National Park. Moving on, which of the following national park is unique biodiversity in being a swamp with floating vegetation? We know that the floating vegetation is seen in Kebul Lamjau National Park in Manipur. It has this fumudi vegetation which floats throughout, so it has a unique significance known as the floating vegetation, floating national park. The answer is this fumudi. The national park is distinguished by a vegetation called as fumudi, that is floating and decaying plants, that is there in your Manipur. Manipur, that is Kebul Lamjau National Park. It also has unique deer species, okay, that is called a swamp deer, that seems to be dancing, also called as the dancing deer, okay, that is your brow antlered deer. Okay, so the answer is what? The answer is Kebul Lamjau National Park. Then which of the following national park has a climate that varies from tropical to subtropical to temperate to arctic? So you also need lot of height because that is also arctic. The answer here is Namdapha National Park. You will have tropical vegetation, subtropical, temperate and the arctic vegetation. It is at Namdapha National Park is at the international border between India and Myanmar. It is in the Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so it has all of these. Okay, as you climb higher, you will see from tropics there will be temperate, from temperate there will also be arctic. There's also be arctic type of vegetation. Next one, eco-sensitive zones. With reference to the eco-sensitive zone, which of the following statement is or are correct? Eco-sensitive zones are the areas that are declared under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Okay, the purpose of declaring the eco-sensitive zone is to prohibit all kind of human activities in these zones except the agriculture. So what is the answer? The answer is neither one nor two. It has not been declared under Wildlife Protection Act. It has been declared under Environmental Protection Act. It has not been declared under Wildlife Protection Act. Basically, eco-sensitive zones, they are mentioned as fragile zone under Environment Protection Act and not in the Wildlife Protection Act. So one is incorrect. Can we just allow every other activities except for agriculture? No, you will not allow agriculture, but you will not allow many other commercial activities like pollution. So you don't allow many activities. Okay, for that matter, some of the only some of the practices are allowed which are very less harmful to the nature. Okay, so it will prohibited activities talks about commercial mining, polluting industry, hydropower. These are also there. Hotel construction, that is also prohibited or at least regulated. Okay, so the answer is neither one nor two. The next one, the most important strategy for the conservation of biodiversity together with human life. So you want to conserve biodiversity plus you want to also conserve human activities. Which of them following allows that? That is biosphere reserve. See, a biosphere reserve is zoned into different areas. You will have zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3. Zone 1 is national park. It is a core national park that is there. Zone 3 and zone 2, they will allow some human activities. So only in core zone you will have national parks, you will have wildlife sanctuaries which are considered sacrosanct and not much human activities are allowed or very less, 1 or 2 is allowed. But then 2 and 3, these are transition zone, buffer zone, wherein you allow human activities also. So you are protecting the human activities as the biodiversity. So the answer is biosphere reserves. Okay. The next in news that we have is species. These are mostly there in news. So, but still, at least we'll do some of them because then it does not, there's no need to do something that has already been asked because they'll not repeat it. But then still for completion, we are doing it. Gucci, sometimes refers to as Gucci mushrooms basically. They are Gucci, sometimes seen in news is seen. It is a fungus. It is grown in some Himalayas and forest areas. It is commercially cultivated in the Himalayan foothills of the northeastern India. What is the answer? The answer is 1 and 2 only. Okay, it is a fungus. It is commercially cultivated in Himalayan foothills of the northeastern regions and it grows in. So, Gucci mushroom is a species of fungus. Okay. Yes, it is grown in some of the Himalayan forests. It is a fungus, but is it commercially cultivated at the foothills of northeastern India? No. So it is a mushroom. It is seen in the Himalayan region, especially towards the western Himalayas. It is not cultivated in the northeastern region because in the northeastern region you have coniferous forest. Okay, so you will not have that much of mushrooms. Okay. So it will, and wherever it is found, even in the northeastern region, it is seen only in the high mountainous regions, not at the foothills. So not at the foothills, even in the northeast. So it will not be seen at the foothills of the northeastern region. So the answer is 1 and 2 only. Now, which of the following is not a bird? Okay, golden masir, Indian nightjar, spoonbill, and white ibis. Golden masir is not a bird. Okay. So rest of them are birds: spoonbill, white ibis, Indian nightjar. These are bird. Golden masir is basically the tiger of the Indian rivers. It is basically a species of fish. It is a long-lasting freshwater fish. Okay. Pong Dam that we have there on the Bias River, that has ample population of this golden masir. You might have also seen this in the local rivers there. Okay. So this is the golden masir. Moving on, consider the following animals: hedgehog, marmot, and pangolin. To reduce the chances of being captured by the predators, which of the following roll up and protects its for its vulnerable part? So pangolin definitely does that. Hedgehog also does that, and marmot. So marmot does not do that. Hedgehog and pangolin, they will both roll up to protect their parts from the predators. Hedgehogs are small mammals with short limbs, and they have very low short body. They will turn, they will circulate them, they will circle themselves. So option 1 is correct. Option 2 is not correct. Marmot does not do that, and pangolin also does that. Moving on, which of the following is a filter feeder? Catfish, octopus, oyster, and pelican. The answer here is what is basically first. The answer here is oyster, but what is a filter feeder? Basically, these are feeding animals that feed by straining the suspended matter and the local food particles. So it's like sieve, it's like chutney. They will filter it, and they'll feed on the suspended material from the water. Okay, they will for example, krill, sponges, oysters, that is how they feed. And even for that matter, some of the sharks, clams also feed like that. So the answer was this. The answer was the oyster one. If I talk about catfish, they have variety of food sources. They can eat directly. Octopuses also, they are predators. Even pelican birds, they are also even catfish for the matter, they are predators. Okay. Now the next one, with reference to palm oil, consider the following statement. Are they native to Southeast Asia? No, they are not native to Southeast Asia. This is one of the reasons that when the palm oil is being cultivated in Southeast Asia, there are problems there. So it is not native to Southeast Asia. So one is not correct. Palm oil is used as raw material for some industries like perfumes. True. Palm oil can also be used to produce biodiesel. That is true. The answer is 2 and 3 only. One is incorrect. These are native to Western Africa and not Southeast Asia, and therefore there are concerns when the palm oil is being cultivated in the Southeast region. So statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 2 is correct. Statement 3 is also correct. Okay, moving on. Moringa, which is a drumstick, is a leguminous evergreen tree. Okay. The tamarind tree is endemic to the second one. Consider the following statement. It is a leguminous evergreen tree, 1. Okay, the tamarind tree is endemic to South Asia, 2nd. The third one is in India, most of the tamarind is collected as minor forest produce. Okay, the India export tamarind and the seeds of moringa, 4th. The seeds of moringa and tamarind can also be used in the production of biofuels. Okay, so is moringa a leguminous evergreen tree? Evergreen trees are generally seen in some parts of India, only in the western side of Western Ghats, the northeastern region. They are seen in Andaman Nicobar, but moringa is widespread available. So 1 is definitely wrong. If you eliminate 1, you have the answer as 3, 4, 5. So what is the answer? The correct answer is 3, 4, and 5. The tamarind tree is endemic to South Asia. No, it is not endemic to South Asia. Tamarind tree is also endemic to the tropical Africa. So 1 is incorrect, 2 is incorrect. Okay, moringa is a fast growing drought resistant tree. It is not, it is basically a deciduous tree rather than evergreen tree. Statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 2 is also incorrect. Statement 3, most of the tamarind is collected as minor forest produce. The biodiesel can be derived from tamarind seed, and India is also actively exporting the tamarind tree. So 3, 4, and 5. Moving on, consider about Indian elephants. The leader of consider the following statement about Indian elephants. The leader of elephant group is a female. The maximum gestation period can be up to 22 months. An elephant can normally go on calving till the age of 40 years only. Among the states in India, the highest population is in Kerala. See, now what happens with this? Lot of students start saying that we'll have to learn the gestation period of all the animals. No, we'll not have to do. Just think about the 4th statement. Where do you have most of the elephant population? You will have at Kerala, you will have at Karnataka, and you all have at Tamil Nadu. And in that, Kerala is a smaller state, so less number of elephants. Karnataka is a bigger state, so it has the largest, highest elephant population. So if the 4 is wrong, okay, the answer can be either 1 and 2, or the answer can be 3 only. We know that 1 is definitely correct. The leader of elephant is always a female, so 1 is correct, 2 is also correct, 3 is wrong, and 4th is also wrong. So we need not remember the gestation period of all the animals, but at least we can solve this by some logical appeal, right? That is the idea there. So we'll move on to the next question, that is about, with reference to Indian biodiversity, Sealine frogmouth, copper smith barbet, grey chinned minivet, and white throated red star are. These are what? All of these are birds. Okay. So the answer here is the Sealine frogmouth, the copper-smith barbet, the grey-chinned minivet, and the white-throated red star are the species of birds found in India. These birds are basically known for their unique characteristics and are an important part of the biodiversity that we have in India. Some of them are nocturnal bird, some of them are distinct for the sound that they make. So these are quite unique there. Moving on to the next one. Consider the following statement. Asiatic lions are naturally found in India only. Double-humped camels are naturally found in India only. Two-horned rhinos are naturally found in India only. So all of them have only statement. So which of the following is or are correct? The answer is only 1 is correct. The Asiatic lions are naturally found in India only. Double-humped camels are also found somewhere else. One-horned rhinos are also found in, we know that one-horned rhino is especially found in Nepal and Bhutan. So third statement was definitely incorrect. You could have eliminated at least C and D that ways. So double-humped camels are also found in Central Asia, particularly along China, Mongolia, and Afghanistan region. Okay, they are also found in Ladakh region in India. Okay, but they are not native to India alone. Moving on to the next question that we have. Some of the species of turtles are herbivores, some of the species of fishes are herbivores, some of the marine mammals are herbivores, some species of snakes are viviparous. Which of the following is or are correct? The answer is all of them are correct. Some species of turtles are herbivores, and some species of fishes are herbivores, some marine mammals are herbivores, and some snakes can be vivipores. For example, the species of turtles, for example, the green sea turtle is a herbivore. Some fishes are also herbivore. They'll feed, they'll consume algae, aquatic plants, and detritus. Some marine mammals are herbivores, especially those feeds. Dugong is a mammal. Then boa constrictors, and the snakes, they will give birth to young ones, and no eggs are often laid. So all of them are actually correct. Then we have the next one, blue-finned masir, that is found in Kaveri river, the Irrawaddy dolphin, that is found in the Chambal river, and rusted spotted cat is found in the Eastern Ghats. Which of the following pair is or are correctly matched? The answer here is C. 1 is correctly matched, 2 is not correctly matched. Irrawaddy is not towards Chambal, Irrawaddy is to the east, Chambal is to the west, so 2 is wrong, and the third one is definitely correct. So here you have that blue-finned masir is seen towards Krishna. It is a freshwater Deccan. It is seen in Deccan, so it can be seen in Kaveri basin. Irrawaddy dolphins are seen towards West Bengal, towards New Guinea, towards Philippines, whereas Chambal river it can be seen in Mekong, but Chambal river is to the west. And the rusty spotted cat is seen in the Eastern Ghat. It is also seen in some parts of Gujarat, Maharashtra, etc. The next statement that we have is, which of the following plant called as Prosopis julifera is mentioned in the news? It was there in news. Why was there in news? Because it is actually an invasive species that destroys the biodiversity. So it is widely used in cosmetic. It has a tendency to reduce the biodiversity areas in which it grows. The answer is what? The answer is B here. It is known as invasive species. It is also known as Vilayati babool. Okay, it has destroyed a lot of biodiversity. It has reduced the biodiversity there. So Prosopis julifera is known for its that. If you want to see gharial in the natural habitat, in the next question, if you want to see gharial in the natural habitat, which of the following places are you likely to visit? Bhitar Kanika mangroves, Chambal river, Pulikat lake, and Dipor bill. The answer is, if in case you want to see gharial, you have Chambal gharial sanctuary. So the answer would be Chambal river. So gharials are inhabited deep fresh water. They will inhabit fresh water, while the crocodiles can be seen in both fresh water. So here you will not have in Bhitarkanika because it is salt water. So gharial has to be there in the fresh water. Where do you have gharial? You have in Chambal River. They also have Chambal Gharial Sanctuary. They're known for the snouts and the long snout, that is the long mouth and the snout that it has. So you have Chambal National Chambal Sanctuary that is famous for gharials. Okay, so where do you find if I talk about polycat, again it will have, this is brackish in nature. Deepore Beel is basically freshwater beel in Assam, but it has, there's no information about the gharial there. So that ways you should have known. Moving on to the next statement that we have, which of the followings are unique for Kharai camels, a breed that is found in India? It is capable of swimming up to 3 km. So camel, Kharai camel, a camel that is capable of swimming up to 3 km in the sea water. It is survived by grazing on mangroves. Okay, it is living in the wild and cannot be domesticated. The answer here is okay, 1 and 2, only A. So yes, Kharai camels is a special type of camel that are they have the ability to swim in the sea water. They can also feed on mangroves. Okay, they are known for the feeding on mangroves. Kharai camels have the ability to survive both on the land. They are also domesticated and often used by the local community for transportation and the other purposes. So Kharai camel is there in use because of that. Moving on to the next one. The next statement is about with reference to red sander, which is sometimes seen in news. So there's a species, particular species that is seen in news, that is your red sander. This is a tree species found in the parts of South India. It is one of the most important trees in the tropical rainforest areas of the South India. The answer is this is not a tropical rainforest. It is a species found in the parts of South India. That is true. So red sanders, as you can get the name, it is red in color. It has its own therapeutic properties. It is very especially used in it has very demand in China, huge demand in China and Japan. It is used in cosmetic. It has medicinal products. So it is also famous for this is famous for illegal smuggling. You might have seen now movies related to red sanders. So it is seen where? It is seen in Eastern Ghat. It is seen in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, they grow in the rocky terrain in the fallow lands. So statement 1 jo hai wo, the statement 1 is correct. If I talk about statement 2 is not correct. Statement 2 is incorrect because it is a tropical dry deciduous forest. Southern dry deciduous forest it is seen. It is not seen in the evergreen forest. Moving on to the next one. In which of the following regions of India are you most likely to come across the great Indian hornbill in its natural habitat? Hornbill is seen where? Hornbill is seen in the Western Ghats. Hornbill is seen in the Western Ghats. We also have hornbills along the northeastern region, but here the great Indian hornbill is about the Western Ghats. So we have the great Indian hornbill here in the Western Ghats and not at the sand deserts, not in the higher Himalayas on Jammu and Kashmir, and not on the salt marshes of Gujarat. So not at these places, in the northeastern region and also in the Western Ghats. Okay, so they are there in Western Ghats and they are there in the Nilgiris. Basically, they will primarily reside in the tropical evergreen forest. Hornbills, therefore, you'll see in the western side of Western Ghats and in the northeastern regions because they will primarily reside in huge dense forest in the tropical evergreen forest. Okay, they will feed on nuts, they'll feed on some of the small mammals, reptiles and birds, small birds also. Okay, it has a very good beak. Dugong. With reference to dugong, a mammal that is found in India, which of the following statement is or are correct? It is a herbivorous marine animal. It is found along the entire coast of India. Okay, this is not a correct statement. It is, if that is not the correct statement, A and B gets eliminated. It is given a legal protection under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. So answer is what? The answer is 1 and 3. We've already seen that it is a herbivore mammal. It is called a sea cow. The cow that is found on the land is called as cow. The cow that is found in the sea is called as dugong. Dugongs are basically sea cow. And what do cows eat? They'll eat grasses. So they'll eat grasses in the shallow coastal water. Dugong is one of the surviving species. Okay, that is herbivorous mammal that is important. So they are not seen everywhere in India. They are seen only in some places. They are seen along Gulf of Mannar and Park Bay in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. and sometimes also in Andaman Nicobar water. So it has a very restricted distribution. It is not widespread along the entire coastline. If I talk about statement 3, it is listed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. The Wildlife Protection Act, it is, therefore killing it is illegal. Moving on to the next one, which of the following is national aquatic animal of India? We know that the national aquatic animal of India is Gangetic dolphin. So it's a very easy one. So the national aquatic animal is the Gangetic dolphin. Gangetic dolphin is also known as Susu because of its unique sound that it makes. So Gangetic dolphin, we know that the dolphins that are found in the rivers are blind because of the turbid waters. They have been genetically modified. They have been generation and the genetically transmitted gene that is leading to blindness. So, and how do they then move? How do they hunt? How do they eat their food? They use the technique of echolocation. So freshwater dolphin that is found in India, okay, it has stocky bodies, it has grey in color, it is well adapted to freshwater habitat, it has a special behavioral trait, it uses echolocation, it is also called as Susu. You find this at Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna, Karnasafuli, Sanghu river of Indian subcontinent. Moving on to the next one, with reference to neem tea, consider the following statements. The neem oil can be used as pesticides to control the proliferation of some species of insects and mites. So you have neem oil that can be used as pesticides. For the control of proliferation of the species of insects and mite. Neem seeds are used in the manufacture of biofuels and hospital detergents. Okay, neem oil has application in pharmaceutical industry. So the answer is what? The answer is 1 and 3 only. Okay. If I talk about neem, why is the second statement incorrect? While the neem seeds contain oil and has the potential for the manufacturing of the biofuel, but the hospital detergent is not a common widespread use of the neem seed. So it is used as biofuel but not as hospital detergent. So neem tree, it is basically a tropical evergreen tree. Okay, that is native to the Indian subcontinent. It is known for its medicinal and ecological significance. It grows in the tropical and subtropical areas. It has a bark that has insect repellent properties, therefore they are used in the controlling of insects. If I talk about the neem, they are used in biofuels but not majorly in hospital detergent. They also have application in pharmaceutical industries. It is basically has antimicrobial properties also. So that's about the neem one. Moving on to the next one, other than poaching, the possible reasons for the decline of population of Ganga river dolphin. What is the reason for the decline of the Ganga river dolphin? Construction of dam and barrages, yes. And increase in the population of crocodiles in the river. Increase in the population of crocodiles will not lead to decline in the population of Gangetic river. It is because of the dams. It is because they get accidentally trapped in the fishing net. It is because of the use of synthetic fertilizers and chemicals in the vicinity of the river. So there's pollution of the water body. So the answer is what? The answer is 1, 3 and 4. The answer is 1, 3 and 4. So Ganga, they will live, Ganga dolphin, they'll live in Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna, Karnasafuli river system. Okay, they are essentially blind. Dams and barrages, they will obstruct the flow, they will fragment the population of dolphin. So statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is incorrect. They will compete with the dolphins. So crocodiles, while they compete for the food for the dolphin, but this is not considered as a threat to the dolphin. The third one, they will there's also accidental, they can also be accidentally caught. And statement 4 is also correct. Pollution, water pollution can also affect the aquatic food chain. So crocodile is not directly a threat for the decline of the Gangetic dolphin. The next one is basically, if you walk through the countryside, which of the birds you are likely to see. And we'll see that some birds are stalking alongside the cattle to seize the insect disrupted by their movement through the grasses. So the cattle are moving, there's insects coming, and the birds are using those insects. Okay, the kind of commensalism, one is getting benefited and the other is not much affected. So which of these birds are painted stork, common myna, and you have black neck crane? The answer is only common myna. Black neck crane is not there, and painted stork is also not there. They have their own beak, they have their own system. Common mynas are there. It's an opportunistic feeder on the insects. Okay, so common myna that are seen in South Asia, they are native to India, they are native to Sri Lanka, they are native to Bangladesh, and they are seen along. They will painted stork, they will not be seen. They are living in the tropical wetlands. They have distinctive feathers. They have their own well developed beak. Even for that matter, the black neck crane, which is in a high altitude grasslands, they are also not seen. They're too big birds to do this. Okay, so this is what we have for all of you. So this completes the entire previous year question of the past 10 years related to environment. I hope you got some knowledge from the video. So stay tuned with us, stay connected. Thank you all.